Yes, sir. We back live. Good morning, everybody. Happy Saturday morning and all that. It's your boy ARP. We back with the Sorry It's True podcast. I feel like today might be a long stream, man. I ain't gonna lie to you. I'm so glad it's Saturday because weekdays I'd definitely be more in a rush, even though we be getting like 2 hour streams in during the week. But here on a Saturday, I'm drowning today, man. We got a lot. Let me tell y'all what we got going on. I got a quick Michael Jordan topic. I actually skipped the French topic yesterday, so we're gonna revisit that. Those two are gonna be short, but I gotta make that up for y'all. We have to do at least 25 to 30 minutes of the last Diddy update. Okay. We gotta finish it. We gotta finish strong. The last thing that we need to cover prior to getting into deliberations and then the verdict coming out from the jury is yesterday. What happened? The defense had their chance for their closing statement. Okay. We covered the prosecution's closing statement. So the defense had their closing statement. I believe the prosecution had even a final say. I didn't even know that the order could happen like that. But we got to cover it. We're proud of covering the whole trial, staying true to it, staying on top of every day. So this is the last big Diddy segment for anybody that's tired of it, but this is an important piece. And then we're going to get to that closeout next week. Okay. So we got that. You see the title, Aye Verb Day 10, How the Beef Started. I got a story for y'all. In that one, little behind the scenes stuff. Of course, some receipts to pull up for that. I like when I can back up with stuff that I say. Don't take my word for it. Look at it here on the screen type shit. You know what I'm saying? So we'll get into the Aye Verb Island once again, or on the Aye Verb Island. And I'll once again, we'll give y'all a nice little story along with some things that you guys haven't seen before. After that, oh man, this is going to take some time. We have the paperwork from both lawsuits, the paperwork of Tyrone Dixon suing Fat Joe, and the paperwork of Fat Joe countersuing Tyrone Dixon. Two totally different cases, totally different claims. I glanced them both this morning. There's a lot of exhibits in the paperwork, text messages, screenshots, receipts. Very, 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 very messy. In Tyrone Dixon's paperwork, he tries to lay out like a RICO criminal organization underneath Fat Joe, the boss. People like Pistol Pete are named in there underneath the organization as the enforcer. You saw the clip that I put up last night. Things just got worse for Fat Joe, and the picture has Fat Joe and Pistol Pete. Guess what? I didn't know, people. Pistol Pete is named in the lawsuit as well. Yes, as a target for the claims. He's one of the people. So we're going to look at both. I can't do a complete read on both of those claims, people. It will be here for 5 hours just for those. But we're going to skim the highlights of both. We're going to look at some of the exhibits. I didn't know it was as bad as it is. I didn't know. Okay. What else do we have? We have some funny clips at the end, towards the end of the stream, to close out with a highlight reel that I want to show y'all. And I'm going to talk about some recent TV and movies. You know how on the weekends we try to do music and movies. I'm going to talk about some recent stuff that I watched, give y'all some recaps and some reviews there. And I got some music to bring up. All right, for the three Lettermans of the world and my hip hop heads. All right, got some music to bring up. So shout out to the whole chat. I see members in the building. Right? KX started the stream gifting another membership right off rip. He's like, nah, man, we building the gang over here like that. So KX, man, our member, our loyal member, I really appreciate you as always, my guy. I got Big Yellow with me in the building. I got Mikey here, our member in the building. I got our beautiful mod and member Jay in the building. We ready to work. What else we got going on? I got my boy Cap in the building. What's good, homie? He's one of our mods. Okay, between rounds, our members in the building. Jojo, our members in the building. All right, D Hood Rilla, one of our members is in the building. I see the gang in here. We ready to go, huh? We ready to go. James, what's good, my guy? Members. Kelson is here. Okay, Dog Pound 713, our member is here. Who else is here? Q, what up, girl? Another one of our mods in the building. Yeah, we ready to work. I see y'all ready to go today. Okay. All right, Hustle Boy, our member is here. Okay. All right. Shout out to the members. Shout out to the entire chat. Shout out to our mods. Mods, let me know if y'all need help. I will start to discuss further with y'all over the next week or so if you need more mods. whether it's because you feel the weekends or how the mornings are, or just let me know. And what I'll do is shoot me a DM on IG mods. Let me know how you feel like the chat is going, because I miss so much of the chat while I'm up here trying to host the streams. But if you feel like it's time to add another wave, maybe another 3 mods or so, shoot me a DM. Let me know how y'all feel about the chat so far. Okay. I know it could be a lot of work for y'all in the chat, a lot of work. Put it this way. Let me close like this before we work. Mods, I want you guys to be able to enjoy the streams, even though I know you're in the chat holding down the podcast almost like a separate job, like moderating, you know what I'm saying? But I still want you guys to have enough flexibility to be able to enjoy the topics that we all breaking down together. So if you feel like you are so stuck on the chat, moderating and holding down and making sure you remind people of how we rock over here and telling people the rules and putting people on timeout and all that, and you can't enjoy some of the stream, I want to add more mods. Okay. I want to hold y'all down. So I got a couple other members I see real quick too. Boogie Down Jay is in the building. Yeah, we gotta talk about the Bronx today, boy. Archetype, our members in the building. Okay, let's get to it. Slight switch of the format a little bit this morning. I'm gonna warm up. With a couple small things. I like how we started yesterday's stream with some positivity. Let's do the same today. A little bit of motivation for y'all. A little bit of motivation. Shit, me too. I want one. Who else want one? You know what I might do? Now that I watch a lot of real estate clips. I follow some dope real estate luxury home pages on Instagram. I am subscribed to Ines Mazer on YouTube, one of the best YouTube channels in the world for me personally. And cribs like this, you know, think about it. Your lounge is beneath the pool. You be watching TV and look up and see people swimming, your lady swimming and all that type of shit. You know what I might do? Because I admit, man, I don't think I'm gonna be ever able to afford this. I work hard. I work hard as shit, but I don't think I'm gonna ever be able to afford that. So, you know what I might just do? I might pick a birthday or a holiday or some type of celebration that's going on, and I might have to go Airbnb a spot like that. Now, don't get it twisted, people. Cribs like this can Airbnb for tens of thousands of dollars per night. So I would have to wait for a special occasion. You know, like let's say imagine folks, some of my homies and family that watch the streams. Imagine if we did Thanksgiving here. Or we rented an Airbnb like this. And we brought our food and everything and we cooked here. And if it's 20 grand a night and there's 15 of us, right? It's fun as shit. That could be a dope idea. Cause I ain't gonna be able to afford that. I can't get there, man. I ain't gonna lie to you. I don't think I can. Unless 5 years from now somebody picks up my podcast the way that they be giving deals to like Cam and all that. You know what I'm saying? If they give me a deal, I'm gonna cut a check to all my mods, all my members, and then I'm gonna podcast from a spot like that. And we'll have some crazy footage. Speaking of podcasts, a God tier hit me up yesterday about us discussing a content situation. But I don't want to speak ahead too far. All right. What do we got next? Still warm-up mode. This is why I mentioned Michael Jordan. And I've said this before on the streams. This is why, people, for all of us, including me, Michael Jordan fans, this is why I say this on the stream every once in a while. People, check this out.
Call me anytime. You really gonna relax. Call me anytime. You really.
Michael Jordan says rap music is trash except Jay-Z and Drake. Let me read this caption over here. It says Michael Jordan went to a Def Jam party full of high-profile and legendary rappers. Noriega was there. Or Nori says someone walked up to him and said, Method Man and Redman are here at a party. You want to meet them? To which MJ responded with a dismissive hand flick saying, fuck rap. He ignored all the rappers there except Jay-Z. MJ has also gone on the record to say he likes and listens to Drake, Besides that, he's a big fan of jazz, Anita Baker, James Brown, Diana Ross. All right. All right. Did Nori say this on the Drink Champs? I think that's where this might be coming from. Here's the both perspectives that I always had about Michael Jordan when it comes to this. I gotta not take it so personal. I think sometimes in the past I did, and the reason why I've taken it personal is justified. It's because hip hop to me isn't music. It's not. It's literally not just music. Literally, what is hip hop? There's branches of hip hop. You got breakdancing. You got graffiti. You got the music. You got DJing. These are all layers and branches of hip hop, right? The way we walk, the way we talk, the way we dress. It's all hip hop. All right. Said that hip hop is a culture. If you live the hip hop culture, it doesn't even matter what race you are. We know where it started and by who it started from. But go ahead and fly out to China and think that them motherfuckers ain't hip hop. Go ahead and go to certain places and think them motherfuckers is not hip hop. Go ahead and go out to London and UK and think some of them niggas is not hip hop. They are just as hip hop as because they live the culture. So it's okay to cross paths with somebody that just doesn't share the same culture as you, right? What do you want me to start culture bashing? It's just MJ is one of the most iconic human beings in the history of the planet. And I just kind of want him to share in our culture because hip hop is also embedded into the NBA, right? There's a ton of hip hop culture that's over the years been implemented, promoted, and marketed through the NBA. And he is the biggest face of the NBA, the biggest face. Now, can I have a problem with a man for his music choice? No, he's an old school guy. He's talking about James Brown and Anita Baker and all that. I get it, right? Jay-Z, he's easy to say I fuck with him. He's a whole billionaire mogul, whatever. And you feel like he's the top guy of his arena. I'm the top guy of mine, so I identify with him. And then fast forward, Drake became the top guy of his arena, right? So you identify with him too. I think that's why he likes Jay-Z and Drake, right? So because he knows like you guys come from a similar cloth as me as far as dominating and becoming number one, I can get with your music. I can connect with your music a little bit more. But Jesus Christ, that's two rappers. Damn, even if I want to go old school, like you can't find yourself taking a listen to an LL Cool J, maybe? Not even an LL Cool J. How about a Slick Rick? Give us something, MJ. So that's always bothered me, man. It's personalized to me. I'll never be mad at MJ. Ever, ever, ever. No slander allowed on the channel for MJ. But damn, for him not to embrace and accept, we just see some of our biggest Black figures embrace the hip hop culture, right? You'll see a Kobe Bryant. You'll see a LeBron James. You know what I'm saying? He's going to be dancing around on his Instagram to somebody's late NBA young boy and whatnot, right? LeBron James is one of the biggest sports faces and public household figures in the existence of the planet, right? How about Barack Obama? You put Barack Obama on camera and you ask him, who do you prefer, Drake or Kendrick Lamar? Which album is better? And I'm gonna go Kendrick. Like you know what I'm saying? Like connect with the hip hop culture because the hip hop culture is global. It's global, and it's even a part of some of the money you make, right? Because the promotion that the NBA uses to identify with the dominant race of the league, Black men, right? Most of them, a majority of them, that's their culture as well. you know? Damn, MJ. That's my little quick MJ topic. I think I've been waiting a while to get that off my chest. And when this clip came up, I said, all right. So if you ever see me take a little small, not shot, but mention at MJ, just know it's coming from a place that has a little bit more substance to it. I ain't just mentioning MJ as an outlier for nothing. This is the position that he's taking. But it's cool. It's cool. It's cool. We'll survive. All right. I owed y'all this one. We're still warming up. I owed y'all this one from yesterday. French. Yeah, I seen it. By now, many of y'all have probably seen it too. Check this out.
What's the status of things with Ross and Drake?
Homeless. Catch.
Hold it.
Touchdown.
Do that shit.
I'll be right back. I think I double
Touchdown.
parked my car outside.
You double parked. Okay.
Yeah, my man is texting. I'll be right back.
Mm-hmm. Where is he going? What's the status of things with Ross and Drake?
Right. So anybody that tweeted me this, asked for what's your reaction to this? What's your thoughts, ARP? My immediate my immediate thought is this is a skit. It just doesn't seem real. It does seem and if it's not both people involved, it's definitely at least French planning ahead, to be honest. I feel like there's an 80% chance that she's aware that this is about to happen. When you get walk-offs from your show, those segments, those clips, those views, they triple. I think one of the, if not top three biggest videos on the Breakfast Club is the Birdman walk in there, all tree, y'all stop playing with my name, and then walk out. Right. When celebrities walk off of interviews, there's whole collage videos on YouTube about them. They do massive views. They're entertaining as shit. And I wouldn't be surprised if French and this young lady had that planned already. If she wasn't involved in this, it just looks like French had this already in his mind. If this question comes up, I'm going to do this. Why? Because it didn't look like he was caught off guard, right? If you're really genuinely storming out of an interview and the host said something to you, and even look at her tone. So whatever piece of the interview was happening before this, they obviously were having a decent vibe. It's not like they were arguing or nothing, right? She just calmly delivered, and it's a woman too, right? Guys do that less to women. But so how do you feel about the Drake and headphones come off, hold this, blah, blah, blah. My car is double parked. Yeah, that's a French. You got an album coming out or something? You got a single about to drop? Come on, this is scripted. But still, even though I believe that this was very intentional and this was planned, I still do also believe that French is not, he's not the best speaker. French would never be a spokesperson for any company, right? That's okay. He has his lanes. He's done very, very well for himself. We knew him from the DVD era. Look where he is today. He's dating Kardashians and shit or whatever, right? Shout out to French, but he's not the best interviewer, right? He doesn't seem that on the spot with all of his, right? So I think somebody like him, if you run up on him in the airport and you say, yo, what's your thoughts about Diddy? He has to smile and turn his back and walk away. He can't really give a great answer on the spot that I think is going to not harm his friends, not harm his business, not harm himself, not put him in some bad publication headlines or something like that. I just never looked at French as that type of person. I think that's what he did right here. When you get to Rick Ross or Drake, people that I still want to maintain relationships with and everything like that, you ask 50 that question right here, 50 on the spot will give you a great answer, and he won't step on either person's, well, he would want to step on Rick Ross's toes, but let's say he was friends with both. 50 will give you an answer that doesn't step on both toes, politically correct, is a good answer. They did that with him, 50 Cent with Lil Baby, not Lil Baby, Baby and Lil Wayne, when Lil Wayne and Baby were fighting, right? I asked him about that on the spot. 50 said, man, listen, I ain't doing too much there, boom, 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 because what's going to happen sooner or later, those two guys going to make up and they're going to remember everybody that picked a side, right? And then them two is going to be getting along and I'm going to be on the outside of the circle now, right? Good answer. Great answer. French is not capable of that to me. And that's not a shot. That's not a disrespect. I just don't think that French moves like that in interviews. So the best thing for him to do is either A, tell the fucking person up front, don't ask me these questions because I probably won't have a good response to them. B, if they come up, turn it into promo and storm the fuck out, right? Or C, give the type of fucking answer that's going to put you in the headlines and fuck up and mess around and step on Drake, who you want to be friends with, and step on Rick Ross, who you want to be friends with, right? That's French to me, okay? That's my analysis of French and this moment. All right, are we still warming up or are we getting into a big topic? All right, let's move into our first big topic of the day, all right? Like I said, people, we got to close out strong. This is possibly the last big update that we will do for the Diddy trial until we get to deliberation and verdict, right? So we did the prosecution closing statement yesterday. We heard it out, and then we gave our take on that. We got to do the same for the defense. All right. So let's check it out, and let's see what happened in court yesterday. Very critical moment.
So how did he start off, right? It seems like he started off basically by saying, this is not what the prosecution wants you to believe, right? There's no sex trafficking here. And it seemed like he really focused on the idea of text messages as evidence and really said this wasn't a federal crime, took aim at both Cassie and Jane. What were some of the opening remarks that stood out to you about this?
Yeah, well, a lot of parts of this closing argument really stood out to me, specifically the way that Mark Agnifilow's tone was to the jury and pretty much their final message to the jury before they eventually go and deliberate, which it looks like that will now start on Monday. But in terms of just him approaching the jury, he was very personable, really kind of pulling out that Mark Agnifilow charm. Like literally one of the first lines he said in his closing argument was, this is a tale of two trials. The first trial is about witnesses and videos and texts and evidence. He said the second trial was just kind of the word of mouth by the prosecutors. He was saying that this case is badly exaggerated. He says it's made up, in other words. He also said it's about personal use of drugs and nothing else. The evidence shows that it was kind of a swinger type of lifestyle that, you know, as far as the hotel nights and freak-offs occurred, or as Jane and Cassie had testified about the hotel nights and freak-offs, that these were just threesomes. It was just swingers. It was just an alternative lifestyle, those types of things. And then he was saying that the evidence shows that Sean Combs is a self-made, successful Black entrepreneur. He's done something that's hard to do, and that's have wonderful, successful, legitimate businesses. He says how many government witnesses said that they were moved by Sean Combs, that being with him was like drinking from a fire hose. He taught me great work ethic. And he admitted, he was like, did they always like him? Did the assistants always like him? Did his staff always like him? No way. That wasn't always the case, but they loved him. And then they kind of brought it back to Mia a little bit, where Mia had implied that she felt like she wanted to self-harm, mainly because she had lost her position over at Combs Enterprises, which is not to be confused with the criminal enterprise that the government is alleging. But in terms of just everything, including Derek Ferguson, who had also testified, he was a former chief financial officer over at Bad Boy. He was kind of saying things like he's a handsome Black man. And the reason that he wanted to work at Bad Boy was because he being Sean Combs, was giving people who look like him opportunities that people of color may have not gotten elsewhere. And so even he made kind of one line that I thought was interesting, where he said diversity, equity, and inclusion. He was doing that. He, again, being Sean Combs, was doing that in his early 20s, as early as at 24 years old. And he says that the government says his businesses are racketeering, but then the defense pointed out that none of the witnesses says that they were a part of a racketeering enterprise. None of the witnesses got on the stand and said, yes, I'm a part of this racketeering conspiracy. He said none of that. And so it really was a pretty strong opening just in the first.
Even witnesses that had immunity, that's a good point for the defense in their closing statement to drive home. We're talking racketeering, we're talking about corruption, we're talking about this big orchestrated higher up, filtered all the way down through all of these assistants and security guards, organized crime syndicate, right? Who the hell got up on stage and said, yeah, you know, I was part of the Staten Island chapter on some mafia shit, on some Rico shit? Nobody said that. Nobody said like, yeah, you know, this shit was like the Bloods and, you know, I was part of the 9 trade sex. You know what I'm saying? It wasn't that. Nobody's testified to that. Everybody's getting up there and talking about state charges and whatnot, whether they sided with him or they didn't, whether they spoke up for him on a good behalf or not. And even that other piece of even when Diddy was young, and he was empowering other people that wouldn't have these type of opportunities elsewhere. He was about inclusion. He was about diversity. That looks like you spreading the wealth. That looks like you giving a lot of chances to people to be in the light, to make the money, to get your career rolling, right? Now, I forget how many Black and like the percentage of the jury that is Black, but stuff like that could hit home. Stuff like that could hit. You could hear stuff like that and just be like, damn, like I remember how it was for me in my 20s. Like, remember that witness that got up there and said, yeah, I just wanted to get next to Diddy because I felt like I wanted to be in the fashion world and he was going to be my biggest opportunity. And boom, he interviewed me and hired me. It's just like, damn, like I know what it was like for me in my 20s when I wanted to get my foot in the door and get that first job in whatever career path I was choosing. And the person that gave you your shot was Diddy, right? You got to remind the jury of stuff like this in your closing statements. So prosecution did a good job yesterday. So far from what we're hearing, defense is doing a good job as well.
First few lines, first few minutes of the defense's closing argument.
So look, I know our content can be a lot at times. Sometimes you need a breather, right? Let me ask you this. Have you ever wanted to just escape into a game that's relaxing? Maybe a little magical?
I'm good.
The sex trafficking of Jane and Cassie, those allegations?
No disrespect to the promo. Jesse, fuck with you, man. We just got a job to do this morning. My apologies.
but you mentioned racketeering. I thought it was really interesting. He saves that for the end. So let's actually fast forward. Let's go towards now the end of his closing, because that's the top charge. That's the one that carries life in prison. What did he argue why this is not racketeering conspiracy? Why there's no criminal enterprise or criminal agreement? What did he say?
Yeah, so he said a lot about racketeering conspiracy and emphasizing that it's a racketeering conspiracy, not just racketeering just alone in itself. And so Mark Agnifilo was talking about the whole common purpose of the enterprise members and how the defense was mentioning that Sean Combs was charged by himself. No one in the courtroom had testified again that they were a part of a criminal enterprise, that they were even doing acts that were considered to be crimes, and that he was saying, he being Mark Agnifilo, was saying that there is a gaping lack of evidence. He says that he was trying to do this enterprise by what? Having sex with his girlfriend? And so then when they go into the RICO conspiracy, the defense is saying that he's not.
Defense said what? He's trying to run a racketeering RICO organization, a crime syndicate by what? Having sex with people? Like, come on, get a grip. That was a good one. I like that.
Not charged again with racketeering, but racketeering conspiracy. He points out that the government never called a co-conspirator to testify. Let me just say,
how you charge me with conspiracy and never called a co-conspirator to the stand as a witness? Ooh, okay.
This, Jesse, one of the alleged co-conspirators was actually inside the courtroom, and that being Fahim Muhammad, one of Diddy's security guards. And I think that was kind of interesting that they had brought him kind of on the defense's closing, but also that he's one of the alleged co-conspirators. He was inside that courtroom listening to the closing argument. I was thinking at points if his name was, said out loud by either the prosecution or the defense, that he would maybe like do this. And it was really none of that. But in terms of just KK and her role, again, KK being Christina Cora, Mark Agnifilo said everyone needs a KK. And I thought that was interesting because I looked over in Sean Combs' direction when that specific line was said, and Diddy was nodding at that point, where again, Mark Agnifilo saying everyone needs a KK because she's the right-hand woman to Sean Combs. Anything that he needed, he got for her, but not in a criminal type of way. And so the defense also pointed out a specific.
Very, very true. So if you're the prosecution, you paint that. I thought she was going to be a big piece of this trial. Turns out, I think she skated to a degree, but it's very true. On one token, the prosecution could look at her and try to paint her as a picture as like the madam, right? And she was a woman, but she was allegedly involved in a lot of cleanup, right? People would call her sometimes when they couldn't get in touch with Diddy. Hey, I need to speak with Diddy. Something just happened, or the freak off this happened, whatever, right? Or let's say something, Diddy allegedly hit somebody. They would call her. You know what just happened with Diddy? He just beat on me, blah, 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 blah. And she's like, all right, calm down. Just relax. I'll speak to him. So it looks like you're kind of like aiding Diddy in the BS. And then if you're aware of the women, the escorts, and the freak offs, then you got this madam look to you, okay? But on the other side, the defense could just paint as like, this is Diddy. Whether that's man, woman, one of them, 10 of them, I need handlers. I need management. I need help. Like, I need somebody that's going to take 20 of these phone calls for me over there. You can't just get to the top boss. Like, you can't just call Diddy directly all the damn time. Even my girlfriend can't get directly in touch with me all the damn time. Cassie and them sometimes is calling her. You know what I'm saying? So it's Diddy. Like, paints him in the picture of being this super, mogul billionaire guy, that it's just impossible to have that much underneath you that you can have your hands directly tied to in 24 hours of a day and still stay successful and productive. You can't. The bigger your company gets, the more you need to expand, the more you need help. That's how it goes. You need to delegate things, all right?
Incident involving Carrie Morgan and Cassie Ventura Fine, where Diddy had brought allegedly a hammer over to Cassie's apartment. And so the defense was pointing out that instead of, calling the police or anything like that, that Carrie Morgan and Cassie Ventura, now fine, they reached out to Christina Quorum. They reached out to D-Rock. And then Mark Agnifilo says, did anyone say that KK or D-Rock was a co-conspirator? The government makes it sinister that he has personal security because obviously he's a high-powered celebrity. Of course, he's going to be one to have.
Should we pause? Should we have a quick debate on this one here from my guy Show Off? What's Show Off talking about? He's saying, hashtag, sorry it's true. He won't do time. He has too much info and not enough agents to find who's hiding his flash drives. I disagree. So by the time we get to the end of this video, I am going to say whether I was pushed to either side based on the closing statements from yesterday's prosecution, right? We're going to see how much the defense the defense pushed up to that. And I'm going to go percentage of guilty, not guilty, which I'll at the end of this one. But as far as flash drives being hidden, I think they have more than enough footage to complement the type of arguments that the prosecution brought to the trial, i.e., they said that they was playing so much freak off tapes that the jury was getting tired of watching this shit. What was that other one that we covered? It was like thousands of hours of footage. And I was just like, you got to make that person, that has to be their full-time job to get through all that footage during the midst or before this trial. When they raided those cribs, and mind you, people, you don't raid cribs and be like, oh, well, there's a safe here. Can't get into that. All that shit gets cracked. All that shit gets opened. Everything. Right. So he's got a tech stack. We saw pictures of that. Right. He's got routers and tech stacks and out external drives in like utility closets and stuff like that. Then you got the drives, the type of stuff that he was showing to people in his office. Hey, remember, I saw you on the camera last night. I got this. I just want to let you know I'm holding on to this. Right. All that shit is in their possession. All of it. So even if they don't have everything, they have everything they need to constitute their case. And that's the type of stuff they was formulating and putting together before they even brought the indictment, right? They was working on the indictment and all the footage and all that crap way before the indictment came down. So I don't think it comes down to the amount of footage. Now, as far as how much info, not enough agents to find who's hiding the flash drives. To think he's going to get no time, I think that's really, really, really going a little bit too much on the side of how most of us feel. He's in the wrong court. He's supposed to be in state instead of fed, but he is in a fed, right? They only need like one or two of these counts to land in certain instances, right? I don't need everything to land. They're gonna catch him on something. So even if he gets convicted of, like, let's say, a charge that carries a 5-year minimum, right? That'll be considered a win. To go through this RICO trial with the type of evidence that's already been presented, with the amount of witnesses that took the stand, talking all this shady, grimy abuse, arson, criminal, threatening, all of this shit, all these witnesses, all that shit in what? We went about 2 months, 4 weeks of this trial, whatever, right? They got all that testimony, all those witnesses, all that immunity that was already on part of taking the stand as well. They take all of that. And if he only gets, like, let's say 5 years, that's a win for Diddy. Because you know how it go in the system. Show you fuck around, you get 5, you get good time served, you get to fight some of that down. You know what I'm saying? You join a program in there, something, you fuck around, do 3 of that, right? You never know, right? You never know. But that would be a win for Diddy. That would be a win. To say he's going to get no time at all? Hell no, show. You want to bet money? I bet you 10%. I bet you 10%. Fuck no, he ain't getting off with nothing, with zero. Skate 1000%? No. They is not fitting up Young Thug Diddy. New York is a different ball game, G. Hell no. That was a good I think your thoughts there are based in how much bullshit we see, which makes the thought correct. But as far as what's gonna happen in that courtroom, I don't see it. We're gonna see though.
Have a security personnel as staff at his kind of beck and call when needed, because he's a high-profile figure. They even, at points, Mark Agnifilo was saying, okay, does Beyonce go to CBS? No, she sends her assistants to go to CBS on her behalf. And so Mark Agnifilo was kind of pointing out that Sean Combs wasn't charged with firearms. He wasn't charged with anything to do with Don Richard. He wasn't charged with the incident with Kerry Morgan with the wooden hanger. He wasn't charged standalone about Cassie's violence and the assault. So Mark Agnifilo was really kind of pointing out in terms of just the security aspect when Cassie was testifying about how she had to hold firearms for Diddy in her purse. Mark Agnifilo said, okay, it was because security gave her the weapons. That's why. And again, kind of pointing to the fact that security is doing what security does for a high-profile individual. That is carry weapons, carry firearms, pointing out that it was legal for them to be carrying these firearms. And even in terms of just Cassie Ventura and the whole Daniel Phillip aspect, and I know we're going to talk more about kind of the sex trafficking part a little towards the end, it's just that Mark Agnifilo kind of pointed out here that Cassie had asked Daniel Phillip to urinate on her in one of these freak-offs. And then kind of towards the end, as he was really kind of getting his his final message out to the jury, he says, okay, at what point do you stop trusting the government? He says the government targeted Sean Combs because of Cassie's lawsuit. He says that's what makes us different from any other case, especially ones that he has defended, where he says, okay, today you being the jury, are the United States of America. I'm asking you to acquit Sean Combs on all counts and return him to his family who's been waiting for him. And that was his final message, the defense's final message to the jury before, and of course we're going to talk about the prosecution rebuttal a little later, but in terms of just that final message, that's what Mark Agnifilo had to say to those jurors.
Yeah, I know we went a little backwards because I wanted to go to the racketeer because it is the top charge and that's how he ended it. I think it was smart. The last thing the jury hears is about why this is allegedly not racketeering. And I also know that Mark Agnifilo got in trouble because the prosecution called him out for this. They said, he's not allowed to say we targeted Sean Combs. The judge took issue with that, thought that was totally improper, gave a curative instruction to the jury about that as well to basically disregard that comment. You mentioned sex trafficking. Let's go back to it. Why did he argue?
I say that on, how many times do we say that up here, y'all? It's bullshit. Like it's a lawyer tactic and it's smart for lawyers to do. If I say something that's improper, I phrase a question, I'm not supposed to phrase it like that. I include something that I'm not supposed to include. Strike that from the record, objection, whatever. And the judge says, don't do that again. But it's too late. The jury already heard it. We got up there and said, y'all targeted Diddy because of the Cassie lawsuit. Were you supposed to say that? Nah, it's improper. It's too late. They heard it. They heard the shit. So Mark, hey, anybody on Diddy's defense team, you got to get a little bit edgy and risky, even if it means that you fuck around and get in trouble, get slapped around here and there. You better, go all out. And shit, we got Brian Steele ready to go sit in jail with Young Thug, right? You motherfuckers better at least fight through objections and improper phrases. And Brian Steele's on your team. And speaking of Brian Steele being on the team and Teeny Gallegos, who I was speaking about yesterday. So now we see who's giving the closing statement for Diddy, Mark Agnifilo, right? I didn't watch his movement too much. To outside of what we saw when he had the whole thing with Costco, right? When he was doing his TMZ interviews and everything, I ain't gonna say he was goofy. It just looked like I would want to see a lead attorney for Diddy be sharper, right? Especially if you're doing big platforms and you're trying to push narratives for Diddy before trial even started, on platforms such as TMZ. He got up there and said, I don't know, if I sit in the parking lot of Costco, I'm probably going to see everybody coming out with baby oil. And Costco came out with that statement and said, we don't even carry baby oil, stupid, beat it, and go somewhere else. You know what I'm saying? And I get it. Using social media, using the court of public opinion in today's world, especially in big cases, this is why you saw who's lawyer, Fat Joe's lawyer, and also it was A$AP Rocky's lawyer. When we covered Fat Joe yesterday, he pulled over on the side of the highway to do TMZ. Right? You're gonna see lawyers. Who's the high power lawyer also that's representing Lil Durk? He did an interview with DJ Academics. Right? These people are using these media platforms to push their court of public opinion perceptions. Right? I get it. The internet is a powerful tool to use, but I just didn't look at Mark and see that. But he was from day one the lead attorney. Brian Steele was a guy that came on later on. I thought for optics and as well as the reputation of Teeny that she would be closing argument. But at least from what we're hearing, Mark is doing a good job. So we got our answer. Who was going to deliver that from the whole amidst of Diddy's all-star team?
How did he argue that what happened to Jane, or what allegedly happened to Jane, what allegedly happened to Cassie Ventura, why is this not sex trafficking? Because I think one thing that really stood out to me is emphasizing consent and emphasizing their willing participants. But didn't he said something to the effect of, so we're saying this is consensual, this is consensual, this is consensual. Then all of a sudden, not only is this not consensual, this jumps to sex trafficking. That's a wild jump to make. Why was he saying that sex trafficking is not the appropriate charge for Sean Combs when it comes to Cassie or Jane?
Because there was his girlfriend.
The main point that the defense was really trying to kind of put in the jury's head is that Sean Combs had no idea that Cassie nor Jane really didn't want to be doing these freak-offs or Wild King nights, hotel nights, whatever you want to call them, but was saying to your point, Jesse, that this isn't sex trafficking because they initially consented. Now, the government kind of bounced back a little bit from that, but in terms of just people kind of understanding sex trafficking as a whole, the government was making it clear that it only takes one instance for him to be found guilty, whereas Mark Agnifilo was like, okay, well, where's the line drawn? If they're doing 75 different freak-offs and 76 is a little different from the first 75, apply is that make him guilty of sex trafficking. And that was really kind of the message that he was sending to the jury. But in terms of just counts 2 and 4, specifically related to Cassie and Jane, and when it comes to Cassie specifically, Mark Agnifilo is like, okay, I suppose you can sex traffic your girlfriend if you sell her into prostitution. They're swingers. This is a lifestyle. Again, kind of that was a common theme throughout his closing, was that this was just an alternative lifestyle, that these were just swingers, and these were just people who were engaging in threesomes, that they were adults, that they were making these choices. And he kind of said something interesting where he was like, okay, well, if your partner likes anal, but you don't like anal, do you stop doing anal? It was kind of really like an oh my God moment a little bit, because I saw some people in the gallery kind of just be like, what did he just say? But in terms of just Mark Agnifilo kind of painting this as consensual, he was saying that this is what people do who are in love. They do things that maybe they don't necessarily want to do, but they do it because they love their partner, and that doesn't amount to sex trafficking. So when it comes to Cassie, he was saying things like,
okay, Mark. Tough angle. So she said Mark made the court very uncomfortable by using an example of like being into anal, right? I did, for all the youngins in the chat, I apologize for repeating some adult shit. All right. But great angle of saying you want to create a perception that they're doing things that they didn't want to do, and that employs then sex trafficking, right? But when you're in love with somebody, you do a lot of shit that you don't want to do. What successful loving relationship for 2, 3, 4, 5, 10 years doesn't have this big word included? Sacrifice. Shit, some people have to sacrifice day one. If you feel like, oh, I really like this person, sacrifice day one, right? Some people have to give up smoking cigarettes. Their partner doesn't like cigarettes. Some people have to give up gambling. Some people say, I ain't going to the strip club no more. Right? You sacrifice certain things that maybe are your vices or things that you like, that you're into. Okay. Some people sacrifice their location. I'm skipping coast to come be with you. I was over here with all my friends and family and where I grew up, but I'm sacrificing my comfort zone and my support system to move all the way over here where you're at. I'm leaving my job to be with you. I'm leaving my career to start a career with you. We're going to do some shit together. We're going to build a business together. Sacrifice. You do a lot of things that you don't necessarily want to do for love, including sexually. I know there's women in the chat right now that gave some head that they didn't want to fucking give. This nigga was dick suck, and I'm not in the fucking mood. I'm going to do it because I love this nigga. Yes, I got woken up a couple mornings, and I was tired. Like, come on, man. Like, last night was mad real. We already got the dark shades and Advil, and you here round 3, round 4, but she wants it. All right. What am I gonna say? I was hard. I was sex trafficked now because she flew me out of state for this, and then she left a tip on the table. Yo, you want to know what scene did that? Did we call it sex trafficking? Remember in Boomerang? Shorty, she linked up with Eddie. They fucked all night or whatever. That nigga woke up feeling like a hoe. Remember, he pulled the sheets up like a little bitch. He was like, because he looked over on the nightstand and Shorty had left him some bread. Eddie got sex trafficked in the movie Boomerang, right? Come on, B. He got paid. He's a prostitute that night. Come on. Yo, I'm the reference king, man. I swear to God. But we've all been there, man. Well, we've done things out of love that we didn't want to do. That's part of love. One of the biggest ingredients to love is sacrifice. Go ask Jesus when he died on the cross. Like, how many examples do we need? Damn, Mark, you should have used some of this. You definitely should have used Boomerang, Mark. Some of the jurors would be like, what? Boomerang, what's that? Come on, chat. A lot of y'all done sacrificed out of love. Location, convenience, sleep. Some of y'all out there fighting and sexually. Fuck it. Hey, chat. Yes or no? Have you ever done something with the person that you love sexually because you love the person, but you didn't want to do it. And I don't have to give an example. It could be a billion different examples. But yes or no, have you ever done something sexually with your spouse, your wife, your partner, your girlfriend, whatever, and you didn't really want to do it, but you did it because you loved her? Yes or no? Yes or no? Ladies and fellas, this question is for y'all. Yes or no? Kelson says, yep. Between rounds, our member says yes. Get ready says no. He's never been in a situation where he's done something sexually out of love that he necessarily didn't want to do. Chat here says, hey, I made a love first time a while. Wait, getting some. Wait, hey, I made a love first time a while. I'm not sure what that means, homie. Jay says 100. Gregory says yes. Jim says yup. I see ladies too. Ahmad, you tried it, says yes. You don't got to put the emoji. Don't be shy. We adults. We grown. Yes. Yes. Tay says, yeah, I have. The fuck? The fuck? What KS talk? Yeah. I didn't ask none of y'all to have to give details, but I remember KX, he said, fuck it, I'm gonna give y'all some details. I ain't gonna read it on screen just in case, but I'll put it up here for y'all. Shout out to you, KX. We grown. We grown. All right, Monty says, of course, bandage on the head. Look, bandage on the head emoji, of course. Philly says, yes, sir. All right, let me stop before the chat starts really fuck around, get the stream clipped. Look at all these yeses. Yep. We're gonna fuck around, get in trouble. Somebody gonna say some shit we're not supposed to say. Oh shit. Oh, come on, B. Come on, man. Yeah. You see what I'm saying? The whole chat has, man. This one, I saw one no. And I ain't even gonna judge off of that. If it's no, it's no. It's all good. You know what I'm saying? It's all good. The whole chat said yes, though, other than the 99%. Come on, man. Me, you want me to get yes? Oh, I already gave an example of yes. Yeah. I didn't want to do that 4th round. Bitch, I'm tired. Why you call her a bitch, ARP? Because at this point, I'm feeling abused like Eddie. Come on, B. Come on. All right, let's get back.
Your likes and their likes become one. And Cassie wasn't necessarily clutching her pearls at the ideas of doing freak-offs. And then the defense pointed out those 3 instances that the government alleged were clear instances of sex trafficking. That was what had happened at Cont Film Festival, something that had happened with Daniel Phillip in 2000.
I ain't letting y'all attack my guy KX. Okay. All right, so now I got to create who said, hold on. Who said, hell no, I ain't doing that? Are you talking about what KX said that he didn't perform with his girl? Y'all say, no, you ain't doing that? Some of y'all some fucking liars. I kind of want to find one of y'all in the chat and ask you who your favorite woman. If you a man and you never fuck it, KX, I got you, homie. I'm gonna hold you down on your chat. I see they're trying to get you, KX. I got you. One of our members. I gotta hold down the members in here. All right. Chat. Anybody that's trying to talk shit about that comment. Let's say hypothetically, y'all never ate ass before. Let's go there. All right. You never tossed no salads before. Cool. If you linked up with Beyonce, if you cross paths with Beyonce, if you happen to have the room next door to Beyonce, you know how sometimes the hotel rooms, they got the door in the middle, is basically to allow you to share rooms, right? I've been in those scenarios a million times. Sometimes you want a big enough place, you expand it, you buy both rooms next to, and you leave the door open in the middle or whatever. You got family with you, leave the door open, you just share both rooms, whatever, right? Been in a million of those examples and scenarios. Let's say Beyonce got this room, there's a door in the middle, and you the room next to her, right? You know, she's in there by herself. She's doing a tour or something, and she's moving around the globe. This happens to be the stop, same hotel as you. You hear a knock on that in-between door. You open the door. Oh, shit. It's Beyonce. And she's like, hey, I just wanted to not ask you, I hear your music playing. Can you, keep the volume down a little bit? I'm really trying to get some sleep. I got a tour in the morning. And let's say your mojo kicks in. You're like, yo, let me know if there's anything I could do to help you, be more comfortable. Because I've been watching your tour and you're doing an amazing job out there, shorty. So if there's anything I could do to help, let me know. Well, there actually is something. The bar they didn't fill it, they didn't add my wine or nothing like that. I don't know why. My room, for some reason, they didn't have it situated for me. I don't know what is going on, but this has just been a horrible trip for me so far. Really? My bar is stocked. I got everything in my room. You know what? Why don't you come over and have a drink with me? She's like, you know what? Normally I don't do this. I can't even hang out with people. I'm married and everything, but fuck it. Let's have a drink, man. She comes in your room. Y'all hanging out. Y'all talking. Y'all building. Don't know how, but there's something about the compatibility between you and Beyonce that is electric. Y'all feel like y'all knew each other for 20 years. Y'all feel like y'all grew up together. How the fuck, girl? What? Oh, God. Oh, what? Y'all laughing. She's doing some of those little gestures that, when a girl, when she's talking to you and she's touching you as well, she laughs. She goes, puts her hand on your leg. Puts a hand on your shoulder. Squeezes your arm and shit. And you interpret, you're like, all right, we're doing the physical signals now. Okay, I see what's going on. Keep touching me. Right? The energy is just on 10 in the room while y'all are sipping, having a good time. I'll fast forward for the sake of the stream. This is going to be a drastic fast forward. She asked you to eat her ass. I know that the story was getting kind of cool, right? I cut all that shit out. Did a fast forward to the fucking to the big part. Some of y'all know I was converting, and I might have dropped some of y'all by going so drastic. Like, damn, I was with you until you just went so drastic. No, ARP. No, I need to be built up. Bitch ass niggas in the chat. But let's go drastic. She says, you know what? Fuck all this shit that's going on. I love is in the air, man. I would love for you to eat my ass. Right. What do you do? It's Beyonce. And how about this? I'll even add this. It's not even a scenario where you're just going to eat Beyonce's ass. You're going to fuck and everything too. She's going to get you head. Y'all going to fuck. Y'all everything. Right? Y'all going to just wake up looking over at each other, smoking a cigarette. Like, girl, last night. Right? It's not just eat my ass. But let's say that's got to be a part of it. Fellas, are you saying night's over? Please go back to your room. I'm not going to eat your ass or fuck you. Or are you going to eat Beyonce's ass and fuck her? Yes or no? Yes or no? Yes, groceries. Groceries. Does that make y'all feel more comfortable if I say groceries instead of, does that make y'all feel better? Kemo said, sorry, Jay-Z, your wife is getting piped. And you said that was a plot twist. Hold on. What the hell did I wake up to? Oh yeah, we potting. Shout out to the chat. Yo, Mark said he ain't just eating ass. He said we haven't paid. Look at Trey. They said ass burger with cheese. He's bringing condiments at that point. Niggas is taking it past all I said you had to do was meet this threshold. Niggas is taking it past that. Look, man, we getting busy. Yes. Look, niggas bringing out the knife, fork, and plate emojis. Come on, B. What Kelson say? ARP. And he didn't even got to be Beyonce. Why fight it if the sparks are there, really there? Mature comment, sir. Shout out to Kelson. I'm doing everything to Beyonce. Look, if she's married, nah, that's a whole nother topic within itself, homie. Nigga Eddie said, sorry, Hove. Look at this. The tongue and the peach emojis. Oh, here we go. Here go show off. What show off say? The show off said it's a buffet. So buffets, you pay the price at the front, and you're not supposed to come on an empty stomach. If you go to a buffet and you only eat once, you in the wrong restaurant. You go to a classy restaurant to say, let me get all of the, you know what I'm saying? Let me get the appetizer. Let me get a 5-course, a 6-course meal. That's what you go to restaurants for. If you go to a buffet and you only eat once, you's a jerk. You went to the wrong place. Show off here says buffet. So by definition, he's eating more than once. Show up. Do I have the wrong interpretation here? You said buffet. You know what I'm saying? The fuck? Shout out to the chat. Look at this. Look at the chat. Come on, man. And the plot twist here is a lot of you niggas don't need Beyonce to do this shit, like Kelson said. All right? So put your fucking big drawers on and cut the shit. When Mark said this shit in court, he was the truth and said, he brought up all jokes aside now, people, we just heard it. This came out of court. He brought up anal, right? And then he traversed and said, what couples don't do things sexually out of love that they may or may not want to do? I went through that whole Beyonce shit just to prove the point. Just to prove the fucking point. All right? So cut it out. Show says you dead ass right. I'm just saying. I'm just trying to take 1 + 1 and get 2. That's all I'm trying to do, people. That's all I'm trying to do. All right, let's get back. Shout out to the chat, man. I love y'all for this segment.
Well, after a freak off where Cassie Ventura was beaten and then was forced, according to the government, to still do a freak off. And then they point to the Intercontinental Hotel incident. But one thing that was interesting, Jesse, is that they played the Intercontinental Hotel video during the defense's closing argument. And Mark Agnifilo really kind of took it piece by piece. But I think most notably, he skipped the part where Sean Combs is seen on that surveillance video, dragging, beating, kicking Cassie Ventura when she was on the ground. And so in the defense's argument, they were saying that this whole thing was just domestic violence, that this is not sex trafficking. And the defense used one of Cassie's own Instagram posts against her, specifically the one after this CNN surveillance videotape, which we now know to be kind of a snippet of what had happened in 2016 at the Intercontinental Hotel, where Cassie made this post after kind of seeing this amount of support where she was saying, domestic violence is the issue. Mark Agnifilo kind of pointed it out to be like, okay, she not once said sex trafficking was the issue, none of that. And so it was one of those things where it seemed like the defense was kind of using the alleged victim's words against her. And so then there were other points. So when it came to sex trafficking as it pertains to Jane, Mark Agnifilo says that it's a little bit different than Cassie Ventura Fine, where that Jane had liked all the trappings. She was more focused on what she was getting out of it that the world could actually see. So seeing the things of them being on social media, those types of things. But then they kind of point to the sex trafficking instances that the government pointed out. So one example was September 2023, where the government claimed that this was an instance of sex trafficking. And that the defense showed the jury text messages from this time frame, that being September 18th of 2023, where Jane had liked the text with a link for Cowboys for Angels. The defense says Jane often didn't like the entertainers and that she was able to kind of send them packing. So they bring out one text message from Jane that we could see in an exhibit where Jane was saying, okay, this is the Paymo sent on Venmo for their bum a cowboy, because this cowboy couldn't necessarily perform or she wasn't attracted to him, something to that effect. And so the defense says that this bum a cowboy was still paid. And then they brought up then they brought up the sobriety party in October of 2023, where the defense says that Jane was upset about Gina, but she still agreed to do this hotel night. And Mark Agnifilo said people do things because she wanted to do things at the time. Maybe she just regrets it. She agreed to it, and that's pretty much it. And so even in terms of Jane getting her rent paid and those types of things, Mark Agnifilo had kind of really he's animated throughout his cross-examination, but at this point, he was saying that Jane previously had a crappy lawyer. Those were literally the words that he had used when it comes to her child support, and that Sean Combs was just doing a nice thing, helping take care of another man's child, providing that child, and then, of course, the child's mother with a nice home, the home that he's still paying for even to this day, even while he's still being incarcerated. And that's about $10,000 a month just on rent alone. And so Mark Agnifilo says that Jane and Sean Combs were kind of into the porn scene, and how Jane even, brought escorts herself and found these escorts herself, specifically naming Cabral and Antoine. And so in kind of the last instance that they were talking about was what had happened June 18th, 19th.
Another great angle. Chat, how many times did we say, Diddy, if this is your vice, if this is your preference, if this is the type of stuff you're into, you could avoid all possible charges by just getting into the porn industry, right? You can fly in your male porn stars, i.e. escorts, right? You could fly them in. You can cross your state lines. You have your LLC porn. The porn industry is a super industry. There's a lot of money there. We named other artists that got into the porn industry, made a couple dollars, people like Snoop Dogg, right? And you can still, as the director, literally your title could be the director. You could sit in the corner with your Astroglide the same way you're doing with Jane and Cassie, and you can do the same thing legally. right? Just start a porn company. And that point here by Mark saying that this was like their porn behavior, I think that's a good point. I think it's a good point. If Diddy does get out, which I think is a lower probability, then if he starts a porn company, people, he will be goated. Because the optics of that would look crazy. I think he should have did it before, right? But if he gets out, that's like OJ getting out and like like selling kitchen knives. You know what I'm saying? No disrespect, right? It's just like, ooh, that's bugged out, right? If Diddy gets out and starts a porn agency, but he might need to if he's still, you know what I'm saying? But good angle by Mark there, and we were already on that type time prior.
Of just last year. And so Mark Agnifilo said, nothing happens this night. They've never been physical before. She slammed his head into the counter. Why did she do this? Without any reasonable explanation at all. The defense saying, why is she calling him that word? And that word being a pedophile because Sean Combs was dating a 21-year-old. And so the defense was saying that Jane was just trying to get a rise out of him, and that they were pointing out that Jane changed into a dress as opposed to sweats when she was trying to get away. And that Mark Agnifilo claims she wasn't hiding behind a wall for 2 hours, that there's no way that this could have happened. But Agnifilo admits that there was some kind of physical contact that night. He did admit that. He did say that Jane did have visible injuries to her face, something that the jury could see, because unfortunately this was a particular exhibit that we couldn't see. But he says that nothing about this night makes any type of sense. So really kind of putting that reasonable doubt in those jurors' minds, just as it pertains to count 2 and count 4, again, those being sex trafficking in relation to alleged victim 1, that being Cassie Ventura Fine, and alleged victim 2, that of course being Jane Doe.
Yeah, I thought it was interesting when he was like, Cassie even called it domestic violence. You know, she didn't call it sex trafficking, that this was all about love. If domestic violence was a charge here, he would have pled guilty to it, that this is all about money. They didn't call 911. They got civil lawyers. I think it was really interesting when he highlighted how Cassie left. Eventually, she left the relationship. She could have always left. What happened to her? Nothing happened to her. Real quick, before we move on to transportation to engage in prostitution, he did spend a little time talking about the underlying predicate crimes of racketeering and the other alleged victims in this case, whether it's Kid Cudi, Mia, Capricorn Clark. Basically said that testimony doesn't support the charges. Real quick, what did he say about those 3 individuals and those underlying predicate crimes, right? Arson, kidnapping, forced labor.
Yeah, so in terms of Kid Cudi, the defense is saying that Cassie played Kid Cudi as something that he being Kid Cudi had even testified to. Mark Agnifilo said the government wants you to believe that she was so scared to death of Sean Combs, but she wasn't afraid of him. Mark Agnifilo claims that Cassie was lying to both Sean Combs and to Kid Cudi because Cassie was trying to keep it gangsta, that she had 2 hotel rooms when Sean Combs had found out that she was seeing Kid Cudi. One was a freak off that they were engaged in around that time frame, but also another hotel room where she had kept this burner phone, and that the burner phone was the reason that she had all these secrets and all of that stuff. And so in terms of just Kid Cudi, the defense really kind of pointing out about the glove that the fire investigator didn't talk about when they showed all those photos to the jury. They were even talking about the female partial DNA that was found, because they have to kind of really emphasize it was partial DNA. It was it kind of matched a female person, but you know, the investigation really stalled in 2011. Nothing really happened. No charges came about from that particular moment. And in terms of Capricorn Clark, the defense spent a lot of time talking about Capricorn Clark, where they had talked about the 2004 alleged kidnapping of her, where she was taken to an abandoned building that was going to eventually be turned into one of the bad boy offices, and that she was the government alleges, and Capricorn Clark testified to this too, that she was forced to take these lie detector tests.
Yo, quick link, tie together. Capricorn Clark, and they just talked about, the defense talked about the alleged kidnapping being taken to an abandoned building that then later turned into a Diddy office. Hold on. Am I tripping? Am I tripping? Hold on, chat. Am I tripping? Am I tripping? Am I tripping? Kanye and Diddy's son release new album. Am I tripping? You see it? No, I'm not tripping. You see it right here? this was supposedly the abandoned. Is that what it is? Is that what Kanye did with the album cover? So yesterday, shout out to Checks and Balances. Everybody's put me on that. Yo, Kanye just did a pop-up album with Diddy's son. Is the cover the abandoned Diddy studio or building? Is it me? Am I tripping? It's all live, people. I just thought about it when she said that. Kanye trying to do a bar about one of the witnesses that is alleging she got kidnapped to this building. If so, Kanye, now's not the time. Oh my God. Let me not get too deep in the conspiracy bag, but we'll look more into it. But that might be the case.
Day after day after day after day. And the defense says that it wasn't kidnapping because she was able to go home every single day. That the Capricorn Clark testified that she kept doing it because she wanted to get her job back. And the defense asked the jury at this moment, do you guys feel kidnapped being here inside this courtroom? Because y'all get to go home every day. So again, kind of making it seem a little personal to the jury at some points, but also kind of making it seem like Capricorn Clark, this didn't happen. She wasn't kidnapped because she had the free will to go home every single day. And at any point she could have stopped. But in terms of just the 2011 kidnapping of Capricorn Clark, the defense kind of talked about Capricorn Clark and that she was super platonic friends with Sean Combs and that they were kind of sprinkling in that Capricorn Clark might have had a crush on Sean Combs. And then even Mark Agnifilo at one point says, okay, well, she's, somewhat of a little off kilter, but really kind of saying that Capricorn Clark had texted Sean Combs that we misused our dope chemistry. But really the defense's main point of this particular argument was kind of just that there was no type of way that Sean Combs had a gun on his person at this time, because why would he have a gun? That was one of the reasons that this might not have even happened. The defense also pointing out that Cassie was the one that gave Sean Combs Kid Cudi's address and that Sean Combs had everything to lose. So why would he point a gun at one of his staff members? And
they said, bitch, you the one that gave me Kid Cudi's addy so I could pull up.
allegedly kidnap her. He also pointed out that Capricorn Clark wouldn't have stayed employed if a gun was actually pulled on her, and that Kid Cudi and Cassie said that Capricorn never said that Sean Combs had a gun. So really kind of planting those seeds of doubt into the jury's mind about whether or not it was a gun there, was it not? But I also think the main thing is, like, do you believe the witnesses? Do you believe what they have to say? Are they all just kind of making this up, or do they all not remember those types of things? And so even in terms of just Nia, really kind of when it falls to RICO and just the underlying predicate acts, they really were talking about the alleged witness tampering, where Mark Agnifilo was saying that the government didn't tell the jury that Nia had sent a message saying that she was out of Skrilla meaning money, and that's why D-Rock had messaged her around that time frame, saying that if you need anything, I might be able to help you. Because, and it's interesting, Jesse, they said that specific line about Nia saying that she was out of Skrilla, because Alexander Shapiro also used that particular line when they were doing that motion for judgment of acquittal. And so, we were talking about it before on Sidebar a couple days ago. We were like, okay, this might be a preview of what we can expect for the closing argument. And given that those two lines pretty much were exactly the same, it really did feel like, okay, the defense really wanted to make sure that the jury had the full context of why D-Rock might have been reaching out to her.
Yeah, and look, I think there's room for reasonable doubt there. I really do. Now, some might say, is he minimizing too much of this and trying to explain too much of this, even saying things like, oh, it wasn't, bribery, he wasn't trying to tamper with a witness, he was just trying to protect himself, for the underlying crimes. I get it. I don't know where exactly he went with transportation to engage in prostitution. What was the defense to that?
So, Jesse, I really didn't know where the defense was really kind of going to go in that particular argument as it pertains to count 3 and count 5, that being transportation to engage in prostitution. But Mark Agnifilo mentioned that the government only called 2 of the many escorts that were used between the time that Sean Combs was with Cassie over and spilling into the time that Sean Combs was with Jane. And it was a lot of escorts that were shown to the jury just yesterday. And it was really kind of laid out in terms of just even some of the escorts overlapping between Cassie and between Jane. But the government only called 2 of those escorts, that being Daniel Phillips and that being Sheree Hayes, aka the Punisher. And so Mark Agnifilo says that both of these men says that it wasn't sex for money and that they weren't prostitutes. And they did testify to that. They said that they weren't prostitutes.
I mean, one of them is on a damn media run. He's done Vlad. He did Cam's platform. I think he's on what's that other one with all that they sit on the couch with all the lights behind them that fucking Jaguar Wright be doing as well. But he's on a whole media tour, and even in his media tour, he's saying I wasn't trafficked. Like, this was all consensual for me. What'd you think about Cassie? I mean, Cassie looked fine to me. She was, I don't know. Now that look at the trial, y'all trying to tell me she didn't like it. I might have heard a whimper or two, but everything felt normal to me. You know what I'm saying? You had all these escorts that you broke down in your summary chart, but you only called 2 of them, 2 of which are saying, I wasn't trafficked. This is all consensual. I'm cool. I don't got no problem. And I will say, because that last piece that we went through was heavily targeted on Capricorn Clark, I do believe that the top 3 testimonies that will impact the outcome of this whole trial is Cassie, Capricorn Clark, and Jane, aka allegedly 50 Cent's BM, aka Daphne Joy, allegedly, right? Those 3 ladies, they are the biggest pieces. If he ends up in convicted, he could think about those 3 women over the course of him sitting behind the wall. Those 3. Everything else, I feel like there's some important stuff that it was complimentary though. Those 3 are the big ones that the prosecution used and laid on. I felt like they had Daphne up there for a week and a half. Yeah, Cassie up there for like 4 days, 3 days. Yeah, a day and a half on each side, right? But Capricorn Clark, she had a lot of fiery testimony, a lot of big stuff that will stay in the jury's minds. Daphne, a lot going on. A lot. Those three. So, all right, let's see what the defense is closing with right now.
They said that they were,
I think we're almost done with this, people.
Just paid for their time, the experience. But Mark Agnifilo again asking, why didn't the government just call more escorts to the stand? And even saying things like, were these the 2 best that they could get? They didn't travel anywhere because they were always here in New York. And so the defense pointed out that Daniel Phillips says that he didn't even ask for a single dollar for spending those nights in the hotel rooms, doing those freak offs with Sean Combs and Cassie Ventura. And even when it comes to Sheree Hayes, aka the Punisher, that Sheree Hayes testified that he goes there to set a sexy scene, and that he went over there one time, got $500, and didn't even have sex with Cassie Ventura. And so Mark Agnifilo said that there's no evidence that there was negotiation of sex for money. And the defense says that the sex videos, these sexually explicit videos of the freak-offs, or in some cases as it pertains to Jane, that this was just homemade porn, and says that adult film stars, aka porn stars, that they get paid, but they're not prostitutes. So why does that apply to the men that were used in what the defense keeps calling the private time or the personal time when it comes to Sean Combs?
Interesting.
I think we're done there. How do you delineate that, people? How do you delineate this is payment for porn scene, and like the escorts testified themselves, I'm being paid to set a scene with them. How do you decipher porn payment versus prostitution payment? Here's another one that the defense said. How do you determine paying somebody for their time versus paying them for their sex? Right? I gave an example prior when I said, like, if I fly a woman in, right, and let's say she's telling me, hey, I just want you to know, I work on the weekends. I know I wanted to come for one day. I just wanted to come check you on a Friday. But you asked me to stay with you Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. Normally, I'm out in the field getting money on the weekends. So I am missing some money, but I'm going to fuck with you. And let's say I hit her with the boomerang on Sunday. Pay her for a time, the same way Eddie Murphy did in Boomerang, right? Allegedly. Or I didn't mean to say allegedly. I meant like that's how we interpret that scene to a degree, right? Because he was complaining that she was not respecting his time in that scene from Boomerang, right? She showed up real late. He's like, oh, you're not returning calls. I'm sitting here waiting. I could have been doing this. I could have been doing that, whatever. And then she opens up the trench jacket, and it's like, oh, making it worth my while. And then they fuck, and then he wakes up, the money's on the table. That's the time that I'm paying you for, as far as the conveniences that you feel like you left out because of me, and maybe my tardiness, my lateness, or whatever. How do you separate that from, no, that money that was there, it was because we fucked? You really can't. It's just about how the jury thinks. The prosecution say that $100 on the counter, that was for sex. The defense is saying, nah, it's just paid him for the convenience. Thank you for hanging out with us or whatever. I know you could be anywhere in the world, but you're here with us. Hey, you want to know what, man? I just want just want to leave you something out of admiration or appreciation, right? Which one is the jury going to see? Because I feel like that's one of the ones that the prosecution would try to use as dead to rights, which is money exchange after a scenario that involves sex. So what did the money mean? Take your choice. Take your choice. All right. I'll close here. Me personally, have I tilted to either side now that I've heard the defense's closing arguments? Both sides did a great job. Yesterday's prosecution closing, good. Today's what we're going over for the closing of the defense, good. I had him getting off 25% yesterday after hearing the prosecution's closing. After now listening to the defense's closing, I'm going to say he's got I'll move it up 5%. I'm going to say he's got a 30% chance of getting off. I think that's the reason why I want to leave it well below 50% is like what I was explaining to show off earlier from my perspective is they're going to catch him on something. They're going to catch it. He's not skating with no time, right? Damn, they want to drop it back down to 25% saying that. Yeah, I do. I will. 25% chance that he gets off. I just don't see it. There's so much that we like, no, he should beat that. He should beat that. He should beat that. He should beat that. But they're going to say, oh, got him there. That one happens to be 2 years, 5 years, 10 years, 15 years, up to the judge. All right, we'll figure that out when they get the sentencing. And I'm not up here or early convicting the man, but they're going to get him on something. Defense did a good job. If Diddy does get convicted, we're going to have to stream not just about, oh, here's the conviction, here's the update, but what charges they hung him on. And then we'll be able to go back and look at some of the trial highlights to say, oh, so that means this is where the defense dropped the ball. And that is the place where the prosecution or the witnesses really, really struck gold, because this is the charge over here that he ended up getting hung with. All right. So we got to wait. We got to wait. But looking at it from a high level, generally speaking, I really think that the defense did a great job. I think that he spent his money the right way from Mark to Brian Steele. Brian Steele had his moments where he was up there shining, to Tini Gallegos, and then also the complimenting pieces around those 3 stars. I think they did a good job defending him, but we'll see. Okay. I saw a quick super 2 come in. And make sure I'm up to speed before we move to the island. Slippery. I think, what was this? Okay. I think the thing with the Diddy case is what they try to argue and what he's being charged for doesn't always align. Correct. And some of that is, the state charges versus the federal court charges. Definitely agree with you, Chaos, and I appreciate the super. I saw my guy 3-letter in here. What 3-letter talking about? Shout out to 3-letter. He says, if it's scripted, then French is a sucker. That comment came into the stream at 9:12 a.m. That means that you might not even be seeing what I'm saying right now. You probably came in late on the stream and you're not watching the live. You rewound it to the beginning. We're still live, but you could always say, I don't want to watch live. I want to start it from the beginning. So you could choose what type of viewer you are. But yeah, for 3 to be talking about French at 9:12 a.m., yeah, you're not watching us current. It's like when I cut on the game on Hulu, first thing I do is click up to make sure that I'm live. Like I want to come up to where the game is right now. Like 3, shout out to you, man. Let me get one more for show off, and then we're gonna move on. The defense would have had a better argument if they included. Hey, show said that. Thank you for the transition. Sometimes chat, we are heavy with our transitions over here. We try to make the transitions fun. Said that. Thank you for the transition. Show off. Island God. Let's talk. Day 10. What do I got? How the beef started. We're gonna give y'all a story. Damn, we got so much stream left. This won't be nearly as long as the Diddy. piece. But how the beef started? What beef am I talking about? Am I talking about me and Aye Verb? No, I don't have beef with Aye Verb. Me and Aye Verb are really best friends behind the scenes. Okay, we're gonna book him versus Hitman sometime later this year. That's why I be trying to cash app him and all that. Between he and I, that's really just me paying into his deposit. Okay. We're really, really best friends. So I don't have any beef with Aye Verb. I want to see him earn a living. I don't ever want to see him involved in anything that hurts or detracts from him. I'm on his side. I'm team Aye Verb. Okay. But when I talk about how the beef started, I'm talking about Hitman Holla and Aye Verb. Okay. Now, there is a piece of history that only those two men truly, 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 truly know how they felt in their heart. And in my opinion, that would be them battling each other. Okay. Epic battle, one of the greatest battles of all time. The history of those two guys from St. Louis is that they were rolling together, they were making moves together. Were they friends? Were they not friends? I don't know. Ask them. They did the battle. And now here's where you can have an opinion, right? After the battle, did anybody feel a way? If I wanted to be 100% fair and just guess if somebody, now I'm not even being on some sarcastic shit like, oh, I know something and I'm really planting a subliminal. I swear to God, I'm really, really giving a guess, okay? A guess could be, if after the battle, if Holla goes this direction and he feels away, it would be because a big piece of the battle rap consensus is that Aye Verb won that battle. Okay? The whole, yes, sir. That's how you, epic moment in battle rap history. I tell no lies. Okay? If Hitman ever felt away after, it would be because of that, following him through his legacy. Now, you can almost contradict that because his legacy went on to be one of the biggest legacies from a viewership, from an earning standpoint in battle rap, in the entire battle rap culture. So I think it should be easy to get over that loss, right? From Aye Verb's side, would Aye Verb feel away after the battle, right? Could he feel away towards, I won the battle, but y'all still give him the accolades. Y'all still give him the highest views. Y'all still give him the bigger moments, the bigger paychecks. Maybe they have reasons to feel away. Only those two guys 1000% know what's dead in the middle of their chest about how they felt after they battled. Okay. Now let's fast forward to the Rare Breeds card, 2018, Aye Verb versus Murder Mook. Now we're at a point where we could look at the beef between Hitman and Aye Verb, and now you have other people that have actual facts. I don't have to think like, well, maybe Aye Verb feels this way, maybe Hitman feels this way, maybe Hitman was wrong for this, maybe Aye Verb was wrong for that. I actually have facts now as a battle rap community or me individually, ARP, that I could look at and say, this could have caused an issue between them. This person could have felt the way because of this happening. Okay. So we get to 2018. Aye Verb books with RBE during that year. Him versus Pat Stay. Okay. If you remember the story, Aye Verb versus Pat Stay was already locked in before the battle happened. Well, I'm sorry, before I meant to say Mook. Aye Verb and Mook was already locked in before the Pat Stay battle happened. Okay. So sometimes leagues do that. They'll bet forward. There's a big situation out there right now that's like betting forward as far as like, you guys are going to have a good closeout to the year. All right. Bear with us, or bear with me when I say that. All right. But leagues do that. A league will book a battler and there's pressure on it to, win this battle or do good in this battle. I shouldn't even say win this battle because a league owner is supposed to say neutral, but do good. You could lose, but have a great fucking showing. Don't drop the ball. Don't choke. I was in that spot with Ill Will. Me and Ill Will was situating him versus Hollow to Don, but he had 40 bars before that. right? That's one of the reasons why you got an A+ Ill Will versus 40 bars, because he was kind of in that mode as well. But it's like, don't drop the ball. We got Hollow around the corner. All right. Same thing for Pat Stay and Aye Verb. You got Mook around the corner. It's already locked in. I had an opportunity to bring Murder Mook back to battle rap. And timing wise, it doesn't matter what else you got going on when you got mega stuff in front of you. You got an opportunity to do a Hitman versus Bill Collector, Cassidy on your platform, Loaded Lux on your platform, Murder Mook coming back to battle rap after 4.5 years, which will be the biggest moment of that period. You do what you need to do to make that work. Right? And let's clarify a piece of this story too. Because Verb will twist and he will flat out lie. So I'm telling a lie about I tried to pay him with my chain one time. I saw recently he said some shit about because I tweeted I'm in a realer state, and he took that and started a space and said, oh, I found out that ARP just gets cuts checks from his family. He just makes up both 1000% lies. He just makes them up. He just makes shit up. Right. So one of the lies that he made up back then, when me and him got into it during the iron situation, and the iron situation is another day. Okay. But me and him got into it. He made up this whole facade of ARP was just trying to set me up the whole time anyway, even though I got a million text messages of how much me and him were best friends after the Mook battle. We'll get there. Keep lying on me. Once again, you talk, I got proof. There's a big difference between us. But he will try to tell the public ARP, set him up. He really wanted either Surf or he wanted Math in that scenario versus Murder Mook. So let's break that down. Like I said, I'm going to give y'all some stories, and then we're going to get into the typical expose the truth type of stuff. This was like an overall RBE idea. We said it's time for us to step our game up a little bit, spend a little bit more money. This was ARP, Shata, and Lawrence saying, let's go a little bit deeper into our pocket. Okay, let's stop this 20, 30, $40,000 event budget shit for a second. Let's raise it up a little bit, okay? And I think some of that might have came off of Pearly Gates 1, because the feedback from Pearly Gates 1, if y'all remember, it's on Champion. I'm a historian, and I will tweak people's memories like a Jay Black, and he will remember, rest in peace, when he's done things with like Tech 9. And there's a segment with Jay Black and Tech 9. It's talking about when we're rolling out Pearly Gates 1, which had like Old Red versus Big K, Daylight versus Ill Will. Card was crazy, right? Pearly Gates Part 1. And you see Tech 9 and Jay Black up there on Champion, like, ARP, what is this? You're trying to create a summer madness? Now you want to do top tiers versus top tiers? We know you for being blood, sweat, and tears. And would you hit the lottery? This is all documented fact. Now we're taking the pulse of the community and we're saying, let's raise the roof a little bit more. ARP, Shata, and Lawrence. And we say, all right, we're ready to spend. Now I am having a conversation with Sue Surf. Sue Surf is pitching ideas to me like a 2-on-2 with him and Tay Rock. So I never lie on no man. I said this when he was home. I say this when he's away, and I'll say this when he comes back home. And Surf can't tell me that I'm lying either. Okay. Surf was giving me 2 I came home type of prices, right? One was a smaller number for him and Rock doing a 2-on-2 with us. One was a bigger number, which was him just as a one-on-one solo, booking. And there was also a time where we were talking about him versus Math. That's fast forward. And there was another time we were talking about team versus team. He wanted to bring, it might have been Prestavia, but he wanted to bring him, Rock. It might have been Chess. He wanted to bring a whole team. And a part of that inspiration was also the RBE 5-on-5 card that we did, Writer's Block versus Team Hami, right? And he liked that. So me and Surf has done so many negotiations, man. But he was one of the let's raise the roof negotiations. It was always finicky when me and Surf would negotiate for obvious reasons. All right. I don't need to go into that. It's not about Surf. The Math thing had 2 hangups. One, it was a different negotiation, right? Math at that time to battle Murder Mook cost more than Aye Verb. So there is a business element there. Also, if you speak to Murder Mook or his manager, shout out to my guy Van, they would be honest the same way I'm about to be. They were never big on the math battle. We know the history of math and Mook, right? But Mook's side, they were never big on it, right? And I don't need to get into details why. Would they do that battle today? Who knows? Ask them. Times change. You never know, right? But I've tried to negotiate the math and the Mook battle, or at least bring it to the table a couple times. And they've always had a similar position, like, we're not really big on the match. Like, what kind of, I'll leave the details of that alone. And then you have to have another person that I feel like, one, I fuck with, because if you see the track record of RBE, some of the people that get those big calls from me are people that I fuck with, right? Two, it has to be somebody with a big enough name to carry the weight of being involved in a Murder Mook return, right? And that's Aye Verb. So of the options that we have, what league doesn't go through their options, right? Of the options that I have for us saying it's time to raise the roof, let's do something big, let's spend some money, let's bring Murder Mook back, right? That was the main target, bringing Murder Mook back. That was a bulk of the budget. That's the raising of the roof. We decided Aye Verb is the person. So Aye Verb gets that call. And there is really no negotiation that happened, because I'm calling him at a time where he's not really that big of a top tier. There's a lot of top tiers over him as far as draw wise at that time. And I offer him, and this is what he put out. He put it out there, right? I didn't put this out there. I offered him $10,000 and Murder Mook. And he basically said, where do I sign? There was no back and forth. There was no thought. There was no negotiation. There was no argument, right? Towards the tail end of that conversation, the only thing that we really discussed was time limits. And I said, all right, I got to go back to Murder Mook and figure that out. That was the only thing that was pending for us to sign the contracts. Time limits. That's it. So I went back to Murder Mook's side. We bounced back and forth pretty much that it was going to be a set time for round 1 and 2. And round 3 would be unlimited, okay? And Aye Verb accepted. He was willing to accept everything that could get him that battle and that bag. And I respect it. I don't got no problem with Verb with that. You know what I'm saying? I think that was a good choice, especially when we've already shown what he was making with RBE prior to that and him getting this 900% increase, right? That's why lining up those things prior to getting here, you guys can see the jet up of prices that he had after 2018. His profile, his bag, not just with RBE, everywhere was raised, okay? But it started being raised with me, okay? So we lock in that contract. We still got Pat Stay coming up. If we look at the contract, let's bring that up real quick. There's elements in there that still tie in just to make sure you guys are on the same page. All right, here is the Aye Verb and Murder Mook contract, okay? Aye Verb, August 2018, Club Drum, opponent Murder Mook. The deposit that he took was $1,500, right? On May 5th, he was to then get his next deposit. This is an agreement in the contract of $3,500. And then he was then to get a back end of another $5,000 to take him to $10,000, right? Now, the relevance of that second deposit of May 5th, 3,500. What was the relevance there? The relevance there is that on May 5th, he had this battle, Pat Stay. You see in Club Drum, May 5th, 2 p.m., headlined by Pat Stay versus Aye Verb. All judge battles, okay? And battle of the night. I gave 2 different bags. I gave a bag to everybody that won their judge battle that night. And I also did a performance of the night bag. I think Math might have won the performance of the night here for his Ill Will performance. He went crazy in the venue. But everybody that won their battles got an extra bag that night from me out of my pocket. Okay. It is 2-on-2 never happened. The Show Off and J Murder versus Suge and J400. I forget if we replaced that or not, but still is a good card. And we did our thing in Club Drum that night. Okay. We know what happened. Aye Verb loses this judge battle to Pat Stay. We contracted Murder Mook to be in the building during this event so that we can start to do the promo rollout a little bit. All right. I'm in story mode for y'all. Murder Mook sitting in the VIP room all night. He's watching Aye Verb lose this battle. Then the judgment comes down. This is the classic footage that's once again on the Champion channel, and Jay Black of Tech Nine and Jay Black saying that I saw ARP back by the DJ booth. They're calling an audible because Aye Verb lost. I wasn't calling no audible, but it was going to change how much we revealed with Murder Mook. And that video's on the channel too. Murder Mook on the stage and was like, yo, yes, he's coming back. We're not trolling y'all. Is he coming back? He really is coming back. Yeah, he's coming back. That's why he's here. Is it 3 rounds RBE? We don't believe this. Yeah, nobody even believed that we was bringing Murder Mook back. And that's why we contracted him to be in the building during this night. Now, the relevance of Aye Verb battling and us already knowing Aye Verb was his opponent, we will have to change the rollout. So because Aye Verb lost, we waited like 2 weeks to let the dust settle a little bit and then come out publicly and say, yes, everybody, the opponent is Aye Verb. But everybody was knowing behind the scenes. It was leaking. Even Aye Verb in his 3rd round, he took a shot at Murder Mook. It's just like, dude, can you just hold water for a second? Just for a second. But anyway, the relevance back to his contract, he was getting his $3,500 second deposit for Murder Mook. He was also getting his back end for Pat Stay. And he also had the opportunity to pick up a performer of the night and also a winning of your judge battle night. So if you add his $3,500 plus his Pat Stay battle, let's say his back end, I'll just make up a small number. Let's say $2,500, right? So that's what, $6,000? So you got $6,000 there. Then the opportunity to win 2 additional bags. That was going to be for him a big night. That's why we structured, I should say we, because it's always an agreement. We structured his Pat Stay contract like that. Or I'm sorry, his Mook contract like that, knowing that on May 5th, he would potentially have one of his biggest payouts during that type of period of his career. Okay. So great night for Aye Verb. He missed out on the other 2 bags, but he still walked out of there with way more than he did versus Jims, which was 0. We showed that, right? Or way more than he did versus Bonnie, who world starred him, right? Which is probably like 1,500, right? It is what it is. Now, without getting into the iron stuff, which is a day within itself, or getting into the Mook stuff, which is a day within itself, we get to this point where obviously Aye Verb and I are going back and forth over the iron stuff on Twitter. We're threatening each other. We're talking heavy. We're talking business. We will get more detail about the whole Aye Verb and Loaded Lux thing when we get to that day. And prior to that, while I was building the Rare Breeds card, I had a vision. It was kind of like either New York versus St. Louis or East Coast versus Midwest. It was one of those 2. Because once you got Murder Mook versus Aye Verb locked in, you feel like the rest of it can be easy to do. So that's where I'm saying I now have the opportunity to possibly go get Young Ill or B Magic. I already got Oops with me. That's one of our frontline soldiers. Maybe Hitman. I never worked with him before. Let me get in touch with Hitman. I get in touch with Hitman. Me and Hitman start negotiating. We start negotiating for battles such as Big K and Ill Will. That's how long Ill Will versus Hitman is something that I'm trying to do, right? The numbers that I'm offering Hitman, if I really want to try to remember, I really feel like I offered him like $25,000. No bullshit. I don't want to say 1,000%, but I'm pretty sure I offered Hitman Holla $25,000 to be a part of the Murder Mook versus Aye Verb card, right? Now, I never told the price that I was offering Hitman to Aye Verb. But one thing that I do that a lot of people in my main events can attest to, I keep you in the loop of what I'm doing. It's kind of like a respect thing, right? No battler wants to be, no main event, I should say, wants to be on a weak card. As much as these guys have, the confidence that they can carry a pay-per-view sale, the reality is we all have egos, right? Nobody wants to go through what Murder Mook and Tay Rock went through, for example. Now that's Murder Mook, right? And that's Tay Rock, right? And that's a legendary matchup, right? But they tore that card down because who they put on the undercard. They tore it apart. Go do your history. Go pull up some of those blogs. They tore that card down. So when I construct a card with a main event, I might key you in. This is what I'm going to do for the co-main event. I might even bounce some ideas off. It's a respect thing. It's a partnering type of vibe that I present to the main event sometimes, right? And this is Verb. At this time, me and Verb we real cool. We're doing a lot of business. We tied in. We understand each other's work habits. He's got Murder Mook locked in. And I'm telling him about this idea of this Midwest and East Coast thing. And I mentioned, yo, I just spoke to Holla. Now, you know what he tells me when I say I just spoke to Holla? Exactly what you guys have already heard verbatim. That's exactly what he said to me. Hold, wait. Holla. I'm going to tell you right now. If you book him, he can't get more than me because he ain't never do nothing for me. Those were his words verbatim. Did I take his contract? I took his contract down. His contract was signed April 11th, right? Like I said, the Mook battle was locked in before the Pat Stay battle. He signed that contract April 11th. Then we had the May 5th battle, and then the Rare Breeze card is all the way in the winter, okay? If he signed his contract April 11th, why would anybody ever allow this idiot to try to tell y'all, oh, because I realized that there's more money available, I wanted to then negotiate more. This is him being a spin artist. This is him being a full of shit, piece of shit liar. This is the person that Aye Verb has become as a man, okay? What league will sign a contract with you April 11th, pay you your $1,500 deposit, then give you your second $3,500 deposit on May 5th. Then after that Pearly Gates card, start to construct the Rare Breeze card, which is going to happen in the winter. Have a conversation with Verb now that I'm possibly going to book Hitman and allow him to tell me, oh, you got to pay me more money then. If any league ever did that before, it damn sure ain't me. They know I ain't going for that. You already signed the contract and accepted and been paid your deposits. Now, because I'm booking somebody else that you already assume, which is a true assumption, gets paid more than you, it's because you're trying to negotiate with me. No, there's no negotiation to be had. You already have your deposit and your signed contract and agreement. Technically, you shouldn't care what the next man makes. You should be happy that you negotiated and accepted your deal. So he's a lying piece of shit when he says that type of stuff. Okay. 4 months later, yeah, oh, that's really why. No, it's a lie. It's a fucking lie. And it doesn't even make sense. Okay. So when he said that to me, I wasn't even that cool with Holla at this time. Right. I didn't say nothing to Holla. I took that as like I noted that in my own mental bank, like, okay, there's something between y'all. For you, I look at Verb and Hitman from the outside looking in. I'm telling him, like, I'm about to book one of your brothers. Don't I got a dope idea for this card? We about to light this shit the fuck up. And then he says that, and I said, ooh. I put it in my mental bank. Never said nothing. I wasn't talking to Holla like that at the time. Never said a word. I sat on that shit in my mind, and it's just like, all right, cool. When people tell you certain things, they expose who they are. But sweep it under the rug, keep moving, keep making the card. Hitman ends up taking a battle versus Tay Rock on Summer Madness, right? Then history speaking, you end up with the whole Rare Breeds versus Summer Madness thing, one of the biggest card-on-card promotions you guys will ever see. Everybody wins, right? We had a great event. I'm pretty sure they're happy with how their event went. Okay. If you follow me on Twitter, what I posted right before I cut the stream on is just another one of those receipts for proof. So what happened is, remember, when we get to the Iron situation, me and Verb are online arguing. We're fighting over him dubbing my battle because of the Loaded Luck situation. And we already played in a prior stream of Verb telling me on the phone in the audio, yeah, niggas is trying to buy the battle from me and all this type of shit. So you already see the alleged, right? We already played that audio for y'all, right? receipts will come on this channel. Go listen to him in the spaces and just listen to him live if you want, if that's your cup of tea. Okay. The real Aye Verb, this was his old Twitter before it got suspended, right? I say December 31st, 2018, I say, how niggas get in their city to rally against RBE? Because you know Verb does that a lot, right? He'll get into it with Chilla, and he'll say, hey, St. Louis, are we going for this? Shut the fuck up. We know you got maybe a friend or two in St. Louis, but you don't make your whole city stand up. Shut the fuck up. Y'all go for that? Y'all go for that? Who is he? He don't even stay there. Like, but he'll get into a Chilla. Hey, St. Louis, we ain't going for that. Yeah, we believe we need more people. Get the fuck out of here. But that's what he was doing all the way back in 2018 with me. He was talking all this St. Louis shit, right? So I tweeted, how niggas get in their city to rally against RBE, but telling me Holla can't make more than me on the Rare Breeze card because he never helped me when he was in position. So you want to air me out, huh? Okay. Now this is since he's threatening me on Twitter and talking shit and dubbing my battle and robbing me and all doing bad business and all this type of shit, lying to me behind the scenes, even though I got the audio and the text messages and all that, telling me about Drake and all this shit. Fuck you, bitch ass nigga. And now I expose the Hitman shit. But look what he replies. He replies, what? Question mark. I made it clear you wasn't getting him and paying him more than me if I'm main event at Hitman Holla. That sound about right? Question mark. ARP, you moving like a heartbroken girl, fam. You embarrassing yourself. You a whole hoe out here laughing my ass off. And then I reply, welp, at least he ain't called me a liar. Fuck you worried about what your brother, in quotes, make. Holla is a higher paid battler than you. Fact. And you had a problem with this. Thanks for at least being half honest on this particular tweet. You a hoe for this whole shit. Zero honor. Remember, people, for the idiots that listen to Verb in his spaces of, I never did nothing to Holla. I never did nothing to Holla. I never shaded him. I never tried to stop his. I never did this. I never did that. I never did it. I never did it. I never did it. I never did anything behind Holla back. Never. He started this from, it's nothing. It's nothing. It's nothing. It's nothing. It's nothing. The motherfucker admitted it himself on Twitter. He admitted himself. What a dummy. What a fucking dummy. I made it clear you wasn't getting him and paying him more than me if I'm the main event at Hitman Holla. That sound about right? You speak to the average league owner, that happens. There's a lot of main events where maybe somebody else on the card may have been paid more. I'd probably call Dre Dennis and be like, who was the main event? Dre Dennis might have put himself as main event versus somebody. Was Twerk on the card? Did Twerk make more than anybody else on the card? He might say yes. It happens a lot. It's just negotiations. But you told the league owner, and I wasn't that cool with Holla at this time. You told the league owner, you can't get him and pay him more than me. Your brother, your St. Louis brethren that you came up with, that you wanted to get on a stage versus Loaded Lux and wear a ball game hoodie for. We'll get to that. You tweeted it yourself. One of the things with Verb is he just talks. I don't think he knows all the receipts, all the videos, all the clips, all the tweets. You want to hear another little quick one before this Twitter got suspended and now he's the whole Island God shit? You want to know the truth? I'm part of him using that name, the Island God, because he felt that he was the only person that got Mook and Verb. I mean, Mook and Lux. And he arguably beat both of them. So he created, I'm on an island by myself. I'm part of you choosing your name. But he admit to it. He admit to it himself. Now, the second tweet that I put up here is I tweeted, how niggas get in their city to rally against me, RBE, but telling me Holla can't make more than me on the Rare Breeze card, blah, blah, blah. Help me when he was in position. So you want to add me. So I was going on a rant about that. And Hitman replied to me because I either replied to him or subbed him, because what Hitman was doing online was pretty much backing up Aye Verb. He was pretty much like being St. Louis, like, I see what's going on, and maybe this shit is a little bit bad business or whatever. And yeah, I did speak to ARP about him trying to get me versus Big K or Ill Will on the Rare Breeds card that had Murder Mook versus Aye Verb, but I'm still Team Verb, right? And he was backing up Aye Verb, and look what he tweets me. He says, laugh my ass off. I ain't rallying to destroy your brand, my G. I just took Verb's side on this particular argument. Not once have I spoke bad about your league, feel me? And far as this Verb comment, that sound like something he'll say. Laughing emojis. I ain't tripping, no. Oh my God. Oh my God. People, can y'all interpret what's going on here? This is me and Holla at odds to a degree. It's just some little light Twitter shit, but we're not on the same side, me and Holla here. I'm calling him out for the St. Louis, everybody getting St. Louis at the time. And I'm just like, this nigga is fucking me over. What's the St. Louis rally shit that's going on? Holla, me and you was just on the phone negotiating. You out here publicly standing behind this nigga? I get it. Y'all brothers stick together. That's cool. Holla replies, look, man, I ain't this your league. I haven't made a red cent with Holla at this point. The first time I booked him was versus Bill Collector next year, the following year. Right? Haven't made a red cent, put a dime in this man's pocket at this point. And he acknowledges what Verb tweeted because Verb admit that it was true what he did. And then Holla tries to laugh it off in the public. He goes, huh, sound like something he would do, but it's cool though. That's what Holla tweets. Me and Holla then get on the phone after this, because now we already are in business communication because I tried to get him on the Rare Breeds call. We get on the phone. We're kind of like just sorting out this little friction between our tweets, right? Just seeing if we can keep the business relationship amongst each other. He pretty much reiterates what he said in this tweet. I pretty much reiterate my side. You know, we just smoothing things over, right? His whole thing on the phone with me is like, yeah, you know, Verb is Verb, and you know, it is what it is. He's kind of like in a bad spot because I'm not friends with this league owner that I'm on the phone with. But we have a business rapport at this point. He just tried to book me for 25 grand. You know, we still talk or whatever, but I ain't going to stand up for him. I'm Team Verb. But I acknowledge what Verb just said on Twitter, and I acknowledge that you not lying. And yeah, I'm going to fall back. I'm out of this, man. I ain't got no problem with your league. I ain't dishing your league, even though you feel like St. Louis is mounting up on you. I'm cool, man. I just want to let you know that. While me and him is on the phone, Verb is calling him. Right? I swear on everything I love. Hitman's on the phone like, oh shit, this is him calling me right now. I'm like, we building right now, man. Like, call him back, please, after. Verb is blowing up Hitman's phone while me and him is talking to, I guess, plead his case to those tweets. But at this point, Holla, if he's going to accept the truth that Verb already said to the public, right? He's got to be smart enough to say, I got to wear my third eye now with this guy. I got to wear my third eye. You know, it is what it is. So if you see me on stage standing behind him, you know, St. Louis. If you see me still supporting Aye Verb, retweeting his battles or getting interviews talking good about him, St. Louis. If you see me tweet like this to this league, RBE, St. Louis. This is very consistent with what Holla has been saying years later when they all got into it over the Gerald shit. Very consistent with what Holla is saying. That's what I respect about the man. He's been consistent. You can't catch Holla in lies. He's been consistent. Consistent. He said the same shit on Twitter for all y'all right here to see. He said the same thing to me back then. The same shit. You know, I see my third eye what type of nigga he is. I don't know why he would do that behind my back, but it's cool. I'm going to try to sweep it under the rug for St. Louis. That's just the truth. And that's just the evidence. Right? So we'll get to Verb doing it again with Gerald. And that's when Holla finally gave up. We'll get there later. Okay. All right. You got some receipts over there, Verb. You got the max out 3 numbers. You have them from me, And you also said 3 days ago that you got them because you're so connected. I'm waiting for you to drop them. You can go ahead. Just release them. The same way I'm releasing receipts, release them. And you'll get your reaction from that. Release them. Why would I? Do I look rattled about max out 3 numbers, people? Oh, wait. Verb is trying to extort you like he did the other 6 people in the last 12 months. ARV, start posting your pay-per-view. No, let him do it. Let him do it. Or I'll do it in a very, very creative way, maybe later on. But let him do it. Let's see if the numbers that he has is anything different than what they are right now. Because sooner or later, the stream had to close down, right? The VOD had to stop selling, right? I wonder if our numbers are off from the video that you have. Let's see if your numbers are off. Man, got no receipts with me. I know that. Shout out to Get Ready, new member. Salute G. I know that was a crazy fast forward. You was talking about this is stuff for the Beyonce shit, right? Should I upload the Beyonce clip on its own? Was that entertaining? Just gonna gloss over a potential Tay Rock RBE appearance. No, that's not what I said. That's not what I said. Well, I did indirectly. Once again, because Surf was like, I'll bring Rock with me. I never negotiated with Rock. Me and Rock had never been on the phone to talk business ever. You know what I'm saying? I lie on no man. So okay. All right. Damn, we still got a lot to do. Fuck, I knew this was gonna be a long stream. We only 2 hours. We're already 2 hours in. I promised y'all, we got paperwork now. I see Fat Joe in the thumbnail, people. I got paperwork from him suing the guy Tyrone Dixon, and also paperwork from Tyrone Dixon suing Fat Joe. Very messy, very ugly stuff. We can't read all of this stuff, people, but let's go over the highlights. Let's look at some of the exhibits. Which one are we going to do first? First one we're going to do is Terrence Dixon's lawsuit. Okay, cool. So this was filed in June, right? Was it? All right. You see Terrence Dixon, a.k.a. T.A., plaintiff, versus Joseph Antonio Cartagena, p.k.a. Fat Joe. And this is what I said earlier, people. Wow. Pistol Pete is in the lawsuit. I didn't realize that until this morning, despite the clip that I uploaded yesterday with Fat Joe and Pistol Pete, because I know that they was accusing Pistol Pete of threatening this guy, the plaintiff, but I didn't know that Pistol Pete was also named in the lawsuit as a defendant. So Peter Pistol Pete Torres is in there. Richard, Rich Player, I don't even know who that is. Erica Marira, I don't know who that is. Sneaker Addict Touring LLC, Slate INC, Rock Nation. This is where we saw Alex Spiro jumped out and said, no, I'm submitting a motion right now to take Rock Nation out of this lawsuit. Rock Nation has nothing to do with this. I don't know. If so, we're going to see in this paperwork why they included Rock Nation. John Doe's 1 through 10 and Jane Doe's 1 through 10. Jane Doe's 1 through 10, I assume, would be the alleged minors that they're putting in the suit, as well as ABC Corporations 1 through 10. Jesus, he's got a lot of people that he's targeting, and Rock Nation as well. He's got big shit being targeted. He ain't playing. Now let's see. This is 157 pages, people. So him and his lawyer put something together. 157 cases. Civil complaint, jury trial demanded. Okay. Peep this. Trigger warning. This document contains highly graphic information of a sexual nature, including sexual assault. Additionally, there are graphic details of sex trafficking and other criminal activity orchestrated by the defendants. I've never seen paperwork that started off with a trigger warning. Chat, that is new to us. The fuck? All right, let's read some of this intro and skim the preliminary statement before we start looking at the exhibits. Plaintiff Terrence Dixon, a.k.a. T.A., by and through his undersigned counsel, T.A. Blackburn Law, PLLC, brings this civil action against defendants Joseph Antonio Cartagena, professionally known as Fat Joe, Pistol Pete Torres, and then the rest of the names that we just read. Rock Nation is in there. ABC is in there. Cool. Asserting civil claims for violations of the Trafficking Victims Protection Act, the Racketeer Influenced and Corrupt Organizations Act, and related violations under New York and Florida law, including unjust enrichment, quantum merit, whatever word that is, fraudulent concealment, fraud, intentional infliction of emotional distress, and money laundering. This action arises from a deliberate and sustained campaign of exploitation, wherein an intentionally recognized entertainer manipulates and abuses a creative partner through an organized network of enforcers, associates, and shell companies. Defendant systematically engaged in coercive labor exploitation, financial fraud, sexual manipulation, violent intimidation, and psychological coercion against plaintiff Dixon, all intended to enrich defendant Cartagena and his associates while deliberately suppressing, silencing, and erasing plaintiff's substantial creative, artistic, and commercial contributions, which were foundational to defendant Cartagena's professional success and personal brand. Now, that first piece that we read is where you start talking RICO-related shit. All right? This is why Alex Spiro came out. You're saying that we are aiding Fat Joe in a whole elaborate alleged sex trafficking scheme, amongst other things, and Roc Nation is in that. Now, Jay-Z is just fresh off of getting accused of some shit. So here comes Mr. $3,000 an hour. Alex Spiro says, no, we got to get Roc Nation out of this. We already got damages of $190 million of when Jay-Z was going through that bullshit. Now you're going to do Roc Nation. Well, what's the first face that you think when you think Roc Nation? It's Jay-Z. Here they go right again. Roc Nation and Jay-Z. All right. Preliminary statement. So calculated and sustained multi-layered exploitation of creative partner. So we've seen that. So the mental distress, the whole stuff about his creative process of him saying that he wrote some of Fat Joe's stuff, the emotional distress stuff, that's his own civil stuff. I really am paying more attention to the minors and the sex trafficking stuff and how it ties into other companies that you're alleging. That's big stuff. Royalties he's looking for. I think there's breakdowns of some of this stuff in here. Let's skip this and start to look for some of those big pieces. All right. Plaintiff intentionally excluded from formal payment systems. W-2s are falsely inflated and reported to the IRS to create a fictitious paper trail. Defendant Cartagena personally collected $600,000 and $200,000 in cash at different times from the UP NYC retail stores. Roc Nation received 10% of all revenue from Cartagena's businesses, and numerous financial records were fabricated or withheld to avoid paying plaintiff the royalties and compensation he was owed. You got evidence to some of this stuff? Because heavy fucking claims, people. That's why I said yesterday, I said, hey, checks and balances, it might be time for us to read the paperwork. Heavy claims, heavy. Further confirming the illicit nature of defendant Cartagena's operation, employees at UP NYC, a small sneaker and apparel store, routinely flaunting luxury goods, including G-Wagons, Range Rovers, Rolexes, and designer clothing, despite earning little more than New York's minimum wage. They're using calculators. They got receipts. We're talking taxes. We're talking about payouts at this point. We're talking minors at this point. We're talking a web of multiple companies and smaller companies underneath sneaker stores. We're talking money laundering at this point. They have some heavy stuff early. Defendant Cartagena earns an estimated $60,000 per month in royalties, at least $20,000 monthly in streaming revenue, none of which has ever been shared with the plaintiff despite his significant authorship and performance contributions to the monetized song. So that's big. The reason why this is big to me is because y'all got me out here assuming that this man that's going into court is only a hype man. That's what Fat Joe and from his fiery statement, as well as Fat Joe's lawyer, are saying all this is a hype man. Okay. You give me no reason not to believe you. All this is a hype man. This guy's claim is naming revenue that he's saying he should be a part of, ongoing monthly revenues from works and contributions artistically that he's put into this? Does he have evidence that he wrote some of these songs, or that he was a big part of the creative process, or what? You know what this makes me also think about? Hey, you artists out there, man, I know y'all be in these studios with your homies, 5, 10, 15 people. Sometimes you turn these studio sessions into all out parties, listening parties and hangouts, and you bring the girls in, you bring the drugs in, you bring the liquor in, whatever. Keep in mind, right, with shit like this right here, the fourth homie that you got over here that you think is tight with you, if you guys part ways 10 years from now and you're still making money off of the songs that he was in the studio with you, if he threw you an alley-oop, if he said, yo, you should change this word, yo, you should change that word, or whatever, y'all on y'all Instagrams documenting some of this shit, yeah, be careful. Because I don't know how legally some of these people can actually stay clean. Because if there's no paperwork saying that I wrote this, I am on the actual album's foldouts of I produced, I co-wrote, I added, I'm this, I'm a sub-producer. If you're not on any of the write-ups to the songs, then do you have evidence? And if you don't have evidence, and if you are a disgruntled person, then you just are the friend in the studio that has your reasons 5, 10 years later on, because maybe you're fucked up and you're saying, all that time that we were spending together when you was creating this shit, I was a part of it. I was a part of it. It's Aye Verb type shit, B. It's Aye Verb type shit. That 456 that Holla posted, I was a part of it. Real shit. Real shit, man. We see it. We see it in the world. In one documented instance, defendant Cartagena pocketed a $30,000 Live Nation performance check for All the Way Up tour money that was rightfully allocated for plaintiff's contributions. Cartagena used those funds to pay off his back taxes owed to the IRS, as confirmed by a witness who was part of his management team at the time. Plaintiff was not only exploited financially, but also subjected to a wide spectrum of sexual coercion, psychological control, forced exhibitionism. What? We know what an exhibitionist is, right? Forced exhibitionism. Is this guy about to come into court and say that he was forced into a fucking freak off? I didn't read this yet, people. I'm doing this live with y'all. I just skimmed to see if the fucking the exhibits were in here. That's all I did. What? Is he about to say that Fat Joe is doing freak offs, B? Did we just read that? Okay. And surveillance-based humiliation, including being compelled to perform sex acts under observation. Yes, that's what he's doing. Being filmed or directed by defendant. Yes, that's what he's doing. In the presence of others. Yes, that's what he's doing. He's going freak off. Tactics designed to control plaintiff's body, erode his autonomy, and ensure silence. This is what they're saying Diddy did. Well, oh, I got the footage. You better comply. This is another freak off again. Accusation. Forced freak off. Was we ready for this? I wasn't. Right? Dog. Was we ready for this? They learned from Russell Simmons, the daddy, allegedly. Oh my God. What the fuck is going on in today's hip-hop industry, B? What is this? I'm starting some ish by accident. I'm getting jumped by the chat. Oh, I don't know. This is something else. What the fuck is going on? We're about to have another freak off trial. Okay. The sex-based abuses were not private, incidental, or isolated. They were integral to the enterprise's culture of dominance and humiliation enforced by the defendant's associates such as Pistol Pete, JB, and others, and sustained across numerous tour locations, including Miami, North Carolina, Germany, Spain, and Wisconsin. Shit, fuck a state line. How about crossing seas? This guy is putting in Miami on Market America's corporate yacht and at its mansion properties. The defendant orchestrated repeated orgies, the creation of fraudulent pay stubs, and use of W-2s while filing 1099s, and the concealment of payroll fraud for enterprise gain are textbook RICO predicate acts under mail, wire fraud, and tax fraud statutes. The scheme furthers the enterprise's coercive structure and is directly tied to financial exploitation. People, the public got us feeling that all this is about is a disgruntled hype man that's saying, I was fired and I want some money. This man's complaint is deep and dark and well past just money. What the fuck is going on? Plaintiff, female dancers and minors. Defendant used his status as a corporate sponsor, celebrity influencer, and financial control to compel plaintiff and others into degrading sexual performances, often while defendant watched, recorded, and directed the encounter. Yo, this is Diddy Part 2 accusations and paperwork. How come I don't see any media platforms bringing this up? Once again, got me out here reading headlines thinking that this is just about a hype man that wants some money because he got fired. Spooky shit going on. Okay. These incidents occurred under conditions that included the presence of corporate security staff, surveillance cameras, and defendant's management entourage. Yet no intervention occurred, supporting the inference that these acts were facilitated by and covered up by the broader enterprise and its affiliates. Defendant also used social media burner accounts, including BitG and Dr. Z, to issue veiled death threats and witness intimidation, such as, "You love your family, right?" ? Oh, that's a threat. "Fall back in 48 hours. Number 3, we let you live." Oh. These statements were interpreted by plaintiff and his legal team as part of a broader scheme to intimidate, silence, and obstruct plaintiff's participation in this case. These acts constitute violations of that particular code, witness tampering, interstate threats, and fall squarely within the pattern of violent racketeering activity under the civil RICO statute. In retaliation for asserting his rights, Roc Nation and defendant Cartagena jointly filed a baseless lawsuit against plaintiff and his counsel. The complaint, riddled with procedural defects and legal inaccuracies, was filed for the sole purpose of intimidating the plaintiff, diverting judicial resources, and chilling his First Amendment right to seek redress. So that definitely happens in this world. You can have a countersuit specific scenario, or you could have, you sued me, Aye Verb, for Max Out 3. And then I sue you for all this other shit that's not about Max Out 3. And then Aye Verb would say, the only reason he sued me for all this other stuff is because I'm suing him for Max Out 3. That could be false. That could be true. Either way, you have a lawsuit to fight, right? You have a lawsuit to fight. We're going to get to Fat Joe's side, and then we're going to see if it feels as frivolous or if it's, as heavy as this one. We'll see. Interesting. Very interesting. The retaliatory lawsuit was intended not to prevail on legal merit, but to create public confusion, burden plaintiff's counsel with discovery costs, and dissuade other victims and whistleblowers from coming forward with evidence of defendant's enterprise activity. Now, one thing financially, that definitely is a reality as well. You sue me, saying that I stole your cell phone, I sue you saying that you burglarized my house. And once again, regardless of how strong or weak my case is, you got to spend money on my case, right? So I may be trying to stifle your financial resources for your suit against me while you also fight the suit that I'm putting on you. That's what they're explaining here. All right. So now I got to pay for this discovery process and legal representation and litigation for this shit that you put on me when it's really you guys just trying to stifle what I'm bringing to the light about you and Rock Nation and Pistol Pete and all these other people. That's what they're claiming there. I don't know if that matters. You know, you can't get that case thrown out with an accusation here. You can use that to strengthen your case, but that case is that case. That's going to be up to that clerk, that court, that judge. I don't even know if they're filed in the same district. Right. We'll take a look at that. But DW, let me know if I'm right about that. All right. This conduct violates conspiracy to obstruct justice. Oh, so if you're saying that them doing that is violating this actual legal code, if you can prove that, then you will get some help on your side. But I'm pretty sure when we get to Fat Joe's paperwork, he's going to have enough stuff in there, considering the type of strong legal representation that he has, to not make his claim or his lawsuit look like, oh, this is just a one-pager thrown together because I'm suing him. So good luck landing the conspiracy to obstruct justice because he's suing you as well. I don't think so. And if I scan real quick, Fat Joe's is a 25 pager, which is going to be more than significant by the time we look at that. I'm pretty sure. Okay. There's a lot going on here. These actions not only deprived plaintiff of at least $600,000 in projected royalties, but also ensured his exclusion from future licensing, catalog valuation, and digital revenue derived from streaming platforms. Jesus, man. The enterprise's financial arm further engaged in systematic laundering and tax evasion, as evidently by repeated cash disbursements of over $200,000 and $600,000. This is what I'm going to do real quick before I get to the exhibits. Let me search this document let me see if minor comes up. Comes up 43 times. I'm going to do minor. I'm going to do sex trafficking, and then we're going to do the exhibits. All right. Minor comes up 43 times, starting on page 5 of 157. Plaintiff, female dancers, and minors. Defendant used his status. All right. We saw that one. Minor Doe number 1. Shit. Minor Doe 1 is a 16-year-old Dominican girl residing in New York. In exchange for cash, clothing, and payment of her cell phone bill, defendant would get oral sex and other sexual acts performed on him by Minor Doe 1. On one occasion, while driving in New York City, Minor Doe 1 asked the defendant for money to pay for her cell phone. Being notoriously cheap, the defendant claimed to be broke. This upset Minor Doe number 1, who began yelling, cursing, and screaming. Plaintiff begged defendant to pay the minor child's phone bill, which was less than $100. Minor Doe number 2. Yeah, I might as well just hit enter. It's going right to the next one. Oh my goodness. Minor Doe number 2. Minor Doe number 2 is a Caucasian female. She's not a United States citizen. The defendant began having sexual relations with Minor Doe number 2 when she was 15 years old after a concert overseas. Defendant flew Minor Doe 2 to New York City and Miami, Florida on multiple occasions. Due to Minor 2's body being adolescent and not fully formed, defendant paid for her to get a Brazilian butt lift. This is a lot of traceable type of details that should have receipts to it, people. What? Minor Doe 2 eventually left defendant and is now married to a professional athlete. What the fuck is going on here? Minor Doe 3. They got exhibits in here for Minor Doe 3. Minor Doe 3 with her friends. And they're blacking her. They're redacting her face. I mean, they're not named. They're does right now. And allegedly, if they're still minors, I can understand why they're redacted out in the paperwork. Minor Doe 3 with her friends from high school, the same time she was being trafficked by a defendant. Minor Doe 3 is a Latino female who met the defendant when she was 15 years old, turning 16. According to plaintiff, defendant was in love with Minor Doe 3. He even contemplated leaving his wife. The defendant paid all minor all minor Doe 3's bills and even took her overseas to his tour stops. He brought her to Florida and would put her up in a condo he rented a few blocks from his house with his wife. In recorded conversations, minor Doe 3 and her 15-year-old cousin describe in detail to plaintiff how inappropriate it was for defendant, who was in his late 30s at the time, to be fawning over children. The defendant sees no shame in his depravity towards children. Defendant Cartagena has demonstrated a disturbing lack of remorse or discretion regarding his predatory behavior. Okay, we skip down here for entry number 21. Defendant's transportation and sexual intercourse with these minors constitute violations of the following New York State, Florida, and federal laws. Yeah, we know laws against dealing with minors. Based on plaintiff's direct observation, as well as defendant Cartagena's remarks, this phone was routinely used to coordinate whatever that is, clandestine meetings, reserve hotel accommodations, and manage travel logistics associated with sexual encounters, often involving vulnerable individuals, some of whom plaintiff knew or reasonably believed to be minors. Fuck. Interstate sex trafficking of minors is on there. Agent Doe coordinates discreet domestic and international travel, books, airline tickets, private charters, and hotel accommodations, including for minors, maintains confidentiality of enterprise movements and illicit activities, minors, and to plot attacks of rivals. Transportation of minors is in here. The psychological grooming of these minors is in here. Exploit minors often under the pretense of mentorship, access, or career advancement in the music industry is in here. These minors were transported across state and national borders by or at defendant's discretion. Trafficking minors and use of social media and telecommunications. They got a name here, Ariza or whatever, Azara, whatever LLC, in the name of defendant's minor daughter. Specifically, defendant ordered 2 minor teenage boys in Miami, Florida, to assault a man who had walked through a private circle in which defendant was standing. So that's guys or boys. Before making her one of several minors in his inner circle. That's the flying of underage piece. This is a Europe example, from US to Europe. These minors were frequently cut off financially or discarded when they became non-compliant or no longer served defendant Cartagena's purposes. The power imbalance, false promises, and conditional access to basic needs creative coercive dynamic, especially for minors with limited alternative support. Oh my God, there's so much. There's 2 more. Transportation of individuals across state or international borders for illegal sexual conduct, including minors. The mother initially rejected the request, stating that her daughter was a minor. Defendant Cartagena insisted that he only wanted to talk and chill with her daughter in private. The mother obliged, and the minor child went with defendant Cartagena to his Market America sponsored hotel room. There's a lot of shit that's, if it's true, supposed to have receipts to it. Pictures, flights, get your body done, pay for your cell phone bill. There's a lot of shit. Hey, people like Aye Verb. Peep this. He does that a lot too. I never have those accusations on me. Never have. If you have those type of accusations on me and you still talk to this person, boom, 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 boom. Jay-Z still had those. He had those accusations on him. Did the world stop talking to him? The NFL took the podium and said, as far as we know, our relationship is still intact. Right? It's supposed to be innocent until proven guilty. Right? Now, don't get that twisted. I don't ever want these accusations on my name. Ever. But it happens to people. Is the world going to stop talking and supporting Fat Joe because of what we just read? Aye Verb. Are you going to stop watching and supporting? Are you going to start talking shitty about Fat Joe before he even has his day in court? I'm curious, because these type of accusations go on people that we respect. Keep the same energy. If I come back to the top of the document real quick, do we really need to do sex trafficking after we just did the whole minor one? There's 32 entries in here for sex trafficking. Meets the definition of sex trafficking, example of sex trafficking, established sex trafficking, New York sex trafficking defined, law, including sex trafficking, narcotics, distribution, and criminal conspiracy, orchestration of sex trafficking of plaintiff TA. This guy is saying that he was sex trafficked. The guy in the thumbnail is saying that he was sex trafficked people. It says right here, number 2, sex trafficking of plaintiff TA. That is his alias. One big difference here is it's a man. Like, all right. Interstate sex trafficking of minors, execute ghost transactions, intimidation of rivals, engage in sex trafficking and customer manipulation through UPNYC, sex trafficking by coercion, and each coerced sexual act constitutes a violation of federal law. Sex trafficking of minor. Oh my God. We'll go through the whole 32 for what? Let's try this again. Let's go back to the top. Let's take a look at some of the exhibits. Oh my God. This is the best way I feel to not have to read 157 pages. Pull out the big stuff, read the big bullet points of the accusations, check out the exhibits, and search. Anybody that I don't mind if somebody uses this tactic. If y'all start seeing academics do it, it came from here. I'm just joking. But real talk, let's go to the exhibits. Oh, wait, no. I gotta scroll up because they're going through the people that's named in the suit one by one here. Let's read Pistol Pete's. 56. Pistol Pete is an individual believed to reside in the Bronx, New York, and Miami, Florida. Pistol Pete serves as a defendant Cartagena's primary enforcer and street-level operations captain, responsible for executing violent directives, enforcing internal discipline, and maintaining order within Cartagena's enterprise through fear, intimidation, and physical assault. Acting at the direction of the defendant Cartagena, Torres coordinated and carried out acts of violence, threats, retaliation, and coercive control against those perceived as disloyal, including plaintiff. So he's saying he went at you too. Okay. Pistol Pete involvement in the enterprise's retaliatory operations is corroborated by audio recordings and witness statements, which document his efforts to orchestrate an ambush against plaintiff and his use of coded enterprise language such as pound him out and catch up to issue violent orders on defendant Cartagena's behalf. Torres was not peripheral actor, but a central figure in the enforcement hierarchy, entrusted with ensuring obedience through violence and reinforcing the enterprise's culture of silence, dominance, and fear. You know what's really crazy about that read, people, is we know the reputation of Pistol Pete. Doesn't mean he's guilty of this stuff, but we know his reputation. We all were there during the DVD era of, the KAR, KAR, the Kill All Rats and all that. And there's a million DVDs and videos of him portraying what they're trying to display here. And I wouldn't be surprised if they use some of that stuff against him to try to paint who he is. DVD era, interviews, blogs, tweets. Wow. Oh, man. Here's the Rock Nation piece. Let's read this. Rock Nation is a Delaware LLC with its principal place of business 540 West 26th Street, New York. Rock Nation manages defendant Cartagena's business affairs and, upon information and belief, has taken control over his music catalog, publishing rights, and intellectual property since 2017. Plaintiff alleges Rock Nation, 1, received at least 10% of all income earned by defendant Cartagena and his companies. 2, appointed a director who directly supervised plaintiff. 3, acted as a joint employer by exercising control over plaintiff's labor and reporting structure. 4, aided and abetted the diversion of plaintiff's royalties, the concealment of authorship, and the retaliation against plaintiff and his counsel through a baseless lawsuit. Those are not, that doesn't read people. Let me jump on the big screen real quick. Oh, I was on the big screen this whole time. My bad. For anybody that couldn't read the small print. That doesn't read frivolous. Like, these read like big bullet points, things that you would have some type of alleged, I don't want to say evidence, but backing to. This don't feel like Alex Spiro could just get this tossed like he did with the Jay-Z shit. You're going to have to go through discovery. That could be a third one that we might need to look at now. Alex Spiro's motion to get Rock Nation withdrawn from this claim. Just reading that piece alone, how do you just, if I'm a plaintiff and I come with that, and if I got evidence constituting those type of bullet points, I don't care how much you get paid per hour. You're not walking into court and just getting Rock Nation pulled out of this. A judge needs to see this. We need to go through discovery for this. We need to go through the process about this type of stuff. We might make it to trial over this stuff. You ain't $3,000 an hour. Hooray, Alex Spiro. We know you powerful. You the man. But you ain't just ripping Rock Nation off of this shit. Not from what we're reading. Damn. This shit is 10 times than the headlines is making us believe. All right, what's this? Why is Cuban Link in here? The defendant repeatedly referenced what happened to former Terror Squad artist Cuban Link, who was physically assaulted and slashed across his face, leaving him with a permanent nerve damage and visible scarring. Before slashing, after slashing. This reference was not abstract. Defendant pointedly reminded the plaintiff of the physical consequences that could accompany disobedience or separation. These statements were made in moments of dispute or tension, particularly when plaintiff raised issues of compensation. He's saying he came to the forefront like, yo, y'all owe me some money, man. And nigga said, for lack of better words, you see what happened to Cuban Link. Now, the Cuban Link slashing is all documented. I don't know how much Fat Joe has addressed some of his Cuban Link stuff online. Absolutely. But Cuban Link has done multiple whole interview breakdowns, painting the whole shit like a movie of them in the spot. And he thought that him and Joe was a little cool. He walked up. He said, Fat Joe hit him. He fell back a little bit. He got up. He then hit Fat Joe. Fat Joe fell back a little bit. All of a sudden, somebody came behind him and sliced. I remember it. This DVD era shit. I remember it. And if you got proof that niggas is threatening you, like you see what happened to Cuban Link, this shit is what's the next exhibit? The Minor 3 exhibit. What's the next one? Oh, his album. One of Fat Joe's albums. In relevant part, defendant says, now she was only 16. I had to nurture that. Give her some growth. Waited till I touched the cat. Told she going to have to work if she going to get ahead. Then she drove me berserk when she gave me some head. She told me that she learned that from a porno flicks. I said, Miami, stop talking, just suck on his dick. I ain't say her name yet, so let's say she nothing. Now watch me turn this nothing into something. Get it? Miami, get in that kitchen. This is free base. Just cook it till it's hard, then cut it in eighths. Take the trip across town to see True. just get the money. Don't yo, these lyrics. It's so bugged out people how we listen to lyrics sometimes and we just listen to them. Sometimes we even rap along. You hear some of the wild shit like people like Biggie has said in his lyrics. I like you so much, I'll do what to your father? What? What? And it's like later on, it's like, what did he write? What did he say? Remember the one they was getting at Drake for? He was like, this shit feel like teenage fever. And that we shouldn't either. Allegedly, right? But they're doing that here with Fat Joe's lyrics. Now, she was only 16 is his lyrics. Why would you write that, Joe? Why would you write that? How about this? You know how you could flip this? He's saying that he needs money for writing your shit, right? Be like, he's the one that wrote this. It's not a laughing matter. I'm not even trying to clown. This is, why'd you write this? Till I touched the cat and she gave me his head. Y'all want this reference again, people? Let me start this by asking a question. Did times change where being with minors was more accepted and today it's just looked at as like disgusting and did times change? I have proof that times might have changed. Did anybody flip out over the scene in Belly? She's on the phone with DMX's wife saying, he said, I'm not old enough to fuck yet, but at the age I am currently, I can give him some head, right? Wasn't that the scene? And then they had this scene where she topped him off in the car. DMX, rest in peace, DMX. An underage minor, right? Allegedly. It was the portrayal of a minor, right? Yeah, Vita. It was Vita, the rapper that was a part of Murder Inc., right? That played that role of the underage little lollipop sucking little underage minor, right? She said to DMX's wife, I'm not old enough to fuck yet. Tommy said I can't fuck yet, but we could do this instead. Where was the outrage? Where was the outrage during that Belly scene? Why didn't we go crazy? Get ready. Our member says it's called selective politicking. That is a genuine question, people. Who was behind that? Who was behind that Belly? When that was written in to the movie, when that was then acted out by DMX and Vita, when that was then watched by us, the masses, even years to come, why did we not go after that? Why did we not say, this is disgusting? What the fuck? Nobody was mad at Tommy's character for that, right? And this is why I say, what year did this album come out? Hold on, this Fat Joe album. Do I have it? Which album is this? Let's make the point, people. This is what's the name of this album? Make Money, Me, Myself, and I. All right, hold on. When was Fat Joe, Me, Myself, and I album released? November 14th, 2006. November 2006. When was the movie Belly released? 1998. That's a decent gap, though. That's 8 years. That's an 8-year gap. Is that a 8-year period? I'm dead serious with this hypothesis here, people. I'm dead serious. Corrupt's ex-wife says something. I'm dead serious. Was there a period in time where, for whatever reason, the hip-hop world was more receptive of fucking on minors? Is there more of these depictions like in Belly or alleged lyrics here that they're pulling off Fat Joe's album in this time period? Like, let's say 98 through 2006. Is there a period where we're getting these lyrics and people's rapping this shit? Actually, this would be a defense for Fat Joe if that was the case. He would say this is what hip hop was doing. And I'm not trying to defend these type of lyrics. I'm dead serious. This is a real question. Did we slip as a culture, as a people, as a hip hop industry? Was there a time when it's cool to watch this shit with DMX and Vita and it's cool to rap this song? Did we slip and say, right now, I'll give you another one. Remember there was a whole period where it was dope to be a Blasian, Asian mixed with black girl, like everybody was on Blake. Hip hop has these little moments where we popularize things, a certain type of woman, a certain drug, Molly, for example. You know what I'm saying? Well, we popularize things and accept certain things, but was there a time where the hip hop industry was gloating about being with minors? Chat says yes, unfortunately. This one here from chat says, yes, times definitely changed, because if you grew up in the hood, you seen the older dudes pick up shorty from his, and that was the norm. The older dude coming through with the car, picking the little shorty up from high school. That's true, man. That's true. Times changed. We have our answer. Yes. Yeah. You remember, I was definitely chasing the black Asians for a minute. You remember? That's a dope thing about this podcast, man. I'm an 80s baby, so I got the history for y'all. I will, and my memory is good, so I got y'all. we not from current to forward. No, I got y'all. I'll remind y'all. Remember the Blasians? Oh shit. Oh shit. I'm gonna clip this whole thing. There's a lot of takes in this particular clip that we need to. What's this? Defender Joe covers up Andre Dre, Christopher Lyon from Cool and Dre's statutory R of K Rose. There's a lot of shit they're putting in here, people. K Rose was a 15-year-old singer signed to Epidemic Records, a label owned by Andre Dre. This does seem like somebody that was around Joe a lot. All right, let's say all these accusations are false. He's got a lot of stuff that you would have to be in the inner circle. They say sometimes the person closest to you can hurt you the most, right? For these type of reasons. Wow. Look at this. He's talking about grooming here. Dre began grooming K Rose. This name now. This ain't no dough they're putting K Rose, which is an artist that was previously signed. M coordinated retaliation attempt by Enterprise members Pistol Pete and Rich Player. What's this? Text messages, phone call? What's this? Oh, this is a recorded conversation. Allegedly. Pistol Pete, I called you to try to get his number. Percy, all right. And I called him and he don't want you to have his number because he said you ain't been calling him. What you calling him for? Pistol Pete. No, that's fine. He right. As long as he keep himself away, as he don't come around the hood, because he can't come around the hood, it's all good. My loyalty is to Joe. My thing is, crosstalk, if he violated Joe and you fuck with Joe, I would expect and think that Percy's loyalty is to Joe, according to Joe. Percy, my loyalty don't got to be questioned here. Never. Not one time. You went on the internet and violated Joe. Nobody pounded you out. What are you talking about? Pistol Pete. Nobody ever violated Joe. What are you talking about? Percy. Yes, you did. You went on the internet and violated Joe. You violated Khaled. You forgot? Did you forget? Pistol Pete. Khaled, yes, but never I violated Joe. Percy. You violated Joe too, bro. I might remember some of these videos. I gotta go back and do some of that homework again. You violated Joe too, Pistol Pete. It was Khaled that I was talking about. Percy, don't do that. Pistol Pete, it was Khaled. I could do whatever I want, Percy. No, I'm telling you, you could do that with them, bro. But don't talk shit like that, Pistol Pete. No, I'm just telling you because I'm expecting your loyalty to be toward, and then crosstalk. Percy, my loyalty is not in question here, bro. Pistol Pete. Listen, I'm only talking to you, Purse, because Joe was like, yo, Nas crazy. Purse loyalty to me. Nah, give him a call. I'm just telling you because I respect. This is what I'm saying as a fan base. I'm not trying to tell you, yo, do this, do that. You know what I'm saying? Percy, yes. But you're trying to tell me to line the nigga up. That don't even make sense. I don't know who thought in their mind that I was going to do that. Pistol Pete. No, I'm just saying though. Listen, if a nigga violate anybody, that my nigga is going to bring it right and where you at. I ain't gotta lie. My nigga is going to bring them right to you or right to me. My hood is going to bring it right over there. Why? Like they always done. Why? A nigga get dealt with accordingly. You know what I'm saying? That's what I'm saying. Percy, yes. If it was somebody other than TA, Pistol Pete, going to kill, and then I guess it's unaudible. They can't understand it. Percy, listen to me. If it was somebody other than TA, yes. But TA was part of the family, bro. That nigga not. He's going through what he's going through. And maybe he should just the way he did. And I told him, hold on. You got to listen to me. I told him, hold on, Pistol Pete. I put the nigga on. He never gave me $1. I let him fly. Percy. He didn't have $1 to give you. What are you talking about? Pistol Pete. No, he had plenty, bro. He was getting paid thousands of dollars when he went overseas, bro. He lying. Percy. He wasn't getting paid no money when, and then they can't understand that piece. Pistol Pete. Yes, he was, bro. Yes, he was. Percy. You wasn't around. I was around. You wasn't around, Pete. Pistol Pete. Purse. I know Purse. Percy. You wasn't around, Pete. I was around. You wasn't around. Remember, you wasn't around. You wasn't here. You was in Miami, bro. So don't do that, Pistol Pete. Listen, when I'm asking about my money, trust me, a lot of shit came up. Oh no, we giving that nigga this amount and money, and I used to talk to TA. Then they don't understand that piece. Got right now. They just gave you this amount of money, he said. Yes, but I had to pay this. I had to pay that. I couldn't do it. I'm only getting paid 1,000. It's hard because I have to pay my rent. How could I get you your 20%? Damn. Please, Jeff, give me a break. I was like, all right, TA, I understand that you need it. He was getting paid more than what he said to you all. Purse, he is lying. He told me, Percy. There's a lot of lying going on around here, bro. That's why I stay out of that shit. That's why I stay out of everybody's business. But right is right. He feeling how he feeling. Pistol Pete. Yes, but he's wrong. He's not right. He's wrong. Percy. Is he wrong for doing how he doing it? I don't know if he's wrong because he did holler at Joe. Joe curved him. Joey want to hear nothing he was talking about. You know what I'm saying? Then now this is his option. This is how he feel he needs to handle it. Is he right for doing it that way? I don't totally agree with him. I tried to stop him. He wanted to do it his way. I can't do nothing about that. Don't ever tell me bring a nigga to you. I'm not never doing that. I'm not never doing that. Pistol Pete. No, I'm just saying though. Listen, I know I will. If a nigga violate Percy and he around, what? My nigga, you violating who? Oh no. Get in the car, bro. You're going to deal with Percy right now, buddy. Percy, yes, but Pistol Pete, I don't give a fuck, nigga. I'm a real nigga from the trenches for real. I'm not going to let him violate my nigga, Percy. He only think he said he want his money for his music that he wrote. I didn't see him say nothing about Joe paying off and all that. How do you know Pete? You wasn't there, Pistol Pete. You know how a nigga be a studio person because I have done it. I've been to studio where I have had give a nigga a line or two. Uh-oh. Yo, say this. This is a nice line right here. All right, so he's talking about like, I've been there. I've done that type of shit as well. Don't try to act like you now co-producer, co-wrote the fucking song. Pete, you wasn't there, Pete. You wasn't there, so can't talk on what you don't know. Pistol Pete. A lot of us wasn't there. Percy. I was there. Pistol Pete. What? You was there for one step. Percy. I was there every time. Pistol Pete. Not for that one time. I was, all right, how much is this going? I'm not reading any more of this shit. This is a long conversation. Oh, it's still, Jesus, look at how long this conversation. Thank God we stop it now. Look how long this shit is. Look at this shit. It's most of the damn shit. I wonder if Percy, the way he's answering, you know, like you wasn't there. You wasn't there. No, you're lying. I mean, don't tell me to bring TA to you. Allegedly, it almost sounds like he's already in cahoots with TA the way he's talking to Pete. And you got to ask yourself, this is TA's lawsuit. How does TA and his legal team come in possession of a recorded audio conversation between Pete and Percy? I'll leave that there. While actively campaigning for former Vice President Kamala Harris' presidential campaign, defendant made direct threats to plaintiff from his Instagram burner account. All these exhibits, text messages. I'm going all the way. Remember that. Do you know what I know? Yo, you crazy. It's up. I got you. I own you, nigga. LOL. You think so? LOL. But I'm not. Let's see. Damn. So this is what I mean about Joe's come up. You know, up there with vice president candidates and whatnot. Joe came up. He came up. All the Rock Nation stuff or whatever. Seems that Pete is somebody he's taken care of and kept around all these years. I don't know what Pete does for a living outside of you know. I don't know. I don't want to assume nothing, but Joe came up. Look at this. Look at these exhibits. Joe, look at this with the mayor. Joe came up, man. He came up. Bring him out. Make it happen. Hurry up. Don't need to lift a finger. Biggest in the game. You're not stopping nothing. Everyone willing to do it for me. A lot of text messages. Oh my God. This feels like how we had to upload the big U shit. Like all this paperwork. Oh, this was what I mentioned earlier. They laid it out like a crime organization with Fat Joe at the top. You see this Rock Nation company underneath. I guess you would then try to interpret them or perceive them to be an enabler, right? BDO accounting agent. Underneath that, you got Pistol Pete down here as an enforcer. You got this guy, Richard, as a business manager. You got Erica down here as an enterprise officer. You got JB over here as an enterprise officer. Down here, you have a shell entry. You have a money laundering hub. So that's why you keep reading UPNYC. You're saying that they are responsible for laundering the money. You got this sneaker addict store that we read earlier, a shell entry, financial nodes, which is whatever this bank account. This is big, people. Not only is this freak off shit and coercion shit and sex trafficking and threats, and this is a big deal. And I had no clue from the fucking headlines that have been flying around. This is why I say, hey, I got my eye twitch, got that yesterday. I said, checks and balance, man. It might be time for the paperwork. This is a big deal. Fat Joe investigated for SA. This was back in 2010. Fat Joe was investigated for SA back in 2010. It was on TMZ here. They have this in the as an exhibit. I don't remember that. This is a big deal. It's a big deal. Very, very big deal. I told y'all this was going to be a long stream. I knew it because I knew we had to do the Diddy segment. I knew I had to do my day 10 Aye Verb. And then I knew we had 2 pieces of paperwork to go through for the Fat Joe shit. I knew this was going to keep me here for fucking 5 hours. I knew it. But I'm committed to y'all. Jesus Christ. All right. Not only is this a smaller lawsuit claim, it's only 25 pages. The other one was like 150 something. But I'm definitely tired of this case today. I'm so tired of this case today. So let's skim. I'm sorry, people. All right, now this is the reverse direction. This is Fat Joe now as the plaintiff against Terrence Dixon Tyrone, Blackburn, and TA Blackburn Law PLLC. Jury trial demanded. And here's on the same guy that represented ASAP Rocky, Joseph Tacopina. All right, introduction. Plaintiff Joseph Cartagena, who is professionally known as Fat Joe, is a world-renowned musician, yada, yada, yada. We know that. Worked Cartagena as a hype man and supporting performer who increases audience engagement with interjections and chants. Talk about trying to belittle somebody. Cartagena compensated Dixon handsomely for his role, and Dixon never complained or expressed any dissatisfaction with his pay or other conditions of his work, nor could he. Cartagena began working with Dixon in approximately 2006. Dixon eagerly accepted the once-in-a-lifetime opportunity to be a part of Cartagena's team. He also accepted the generous compensation Cartagena paid him. And throughout the relationship, Dixon enjoyed the prerequisites of touring, luxurious travel, and other fringe benefits of being part of a world-renowned musician's team. The relationship ended amicably in 2019. So what do you got? 4 + 9, that's 13. You got 13-year relationship. That's a lot. It's around somebody for a lot of years, a lot of time. See a lot of things, hear a lot of things. 13 years. Okay. And so additional compensation over these past 6 years. Then something changed. In an obvious money grab, all these years later, Dixon claims that he should have been paid more. He claims falsely that Cartagena recently blocked him from getting outside fighting or funding for a record label, which was the last straw that caused him to dredge up decades-old supposed grievances and issues, none of which were aired contemporaneously, and more importantly, none of which are true. Now, I have an initial perspective on that, where it's just like, uh-oh. Let's say you guys did y'all 13 years together through 2019. Okay, we're here in 2025. So they said that's why the last 6 years, where was all of this? Okay, 2019, you guys split ways. You get to 2025, now here comes your claim. So what this is almost showing, and even though this is Joe's paperwork, that part almost reads like you guys made a mistake. It almost looks like, okay, for the last 6 years, from 2005 back through 2019, when you guys were separated, right? He wasn't kicking up no dust, which is an indication within itself. Why now? I agree. But it's saying that damn near, allegedly, he's being blackballed, right? There's been other Terror Squadians, allegedly, that have complained about blackballing post being around Fat Joe. Did Sunkiss? Was it Sunkiss or was it, who was the one that was singing? I forget. There's been people that have said blackballing type of shit on Joe's name before. But this guy is saying the last straw was when I went to go get a deal, whatever. And because Fat Joe is really an entity in the industry at this point. We got to give it up to him. You know, he's got weight. He's got Rock Nation behind him. He's got all these deals going on. He's up here meeting with the mayor and sitting next to presidential candidates like Kamala Harris. And Fat Joe is not a small guy in the industry. Okay, people, let's catch up. Let's catch up. Why is Fat Joe news? Fat Joe is not a little guy. Okay. So if you have a problem with a Cuban Link or Tony Sunkiss or whatever, it's just allegedly, and they try to make some moves, and Fat Joe says, oh, no. You know what a form of blackballing could be? I've had people reach out to me before and say, hey, man, I just want to tap in. You know, I was talking to this person, and I know y'all got something going on, right? Now, if I say, fuck that person, don't do nothing with that person. If you're talking about continued occurrences like that, that's where the terminology blackballing comes in, especially if it happens across multiple different parties. You feel like, okay, this person stopped something, that person stopped something, this person said no for those reasons over there, this company over here don't even return my calls, this company over here, you know what I'm saying? 50 Cent pretty much admitted to that, allegedly, when he was talking about Slowbucks, right? He said he fell out with Slowbucks, and then he was on the phone, I think, allegedly with the distributor, and he told the person, he said, listen, I'm into it with this person. Now, you could be into it with me and keep distributing that product, or you could stop working with that person and me and you is good. Take your pick. And then the person is just like, shit, I don't got no problems with Slowbucks, but you know, it's 50 Cent. I'd rather maintain my relationship with him. And then this person stops distributing Slowbuck stuff, allegedly. And Slowbuck says, what's happening? What's going on? Hey, I can't fuck with you no more. Why? Because of 50? 50's blackballing me, right? In so many words, 50 Cent admit to blackball, right? His words, it's on video. Like, what do you want me to say? All right? If that's allegedly what Fat Joe did here, and this guy says, you know what? I went my separate way, but you guys, now this is my last chance opportunity right here. You guys stop that? Nah, fuck that lawsuit time. And I want to overcharge for what they did to Cold Crush. This, if that's allegedly what happens, sometimes you gotta know how to let grudges go. This person does a little deal over here. It's not going to affect you, Fat Joe. This is still alleged. I'm just saying, like a hypothetical. Sometimes you got to let shit go. You know, let that person go over there and eat. You know, it ain't going to affect me. Thus, instead of speaking to Cartagena about his post hoc grievances, Dixon made countless posts on social media containing a torrent of wholly fabricated, grotesque, and scandalous allegations accusing Cartagena of unspeakable acts such as pedo, statutory R, and SA. For example, Dixon published shocking falsehoods on Instagram, including that Cartagena was dating and having sex with a 16-year-old girl. So, yeah, all the stuff that he started posting, I wonder if that's going to help or hurt his case. I mean, if there's truth to the stuff that he's posting, it helps, right? If he's lying on Fat Joe, they're going to use that against you. We're going to sort that out. And that other paperwork, there's a lot of shit. Blackburn continued to threaten Cartagena on a daily basis with many evening and late night, early morning email messages to his counsel stating things like, we will report him to Homeland Security. He was really going at him. That's possibly why allegedly Pistol P was just like, hey, man, bring this guy to me. allegedly. He was going at Fat Joe a lot, posting stuff like that online. It's only a matter of time before publications and media pick this up. I could see Fat Joe allegedly want to shut this man the fuck up. He's going on this whole tour posting alleged R stuff and minors and whatnot. Shut this guy up. Right? It's almost like if I'm Fat Joe, I'm looking at that like, that's like the Cassie lawsuit. Sooner or later, you never know if the feds turn their heads and say, what is all this scrambling about? What's going on down here? What's all these state lines and sex trafficking and minor stuff talking about? You know what? Let me go high. Let me go put together some investigators and let's spend the next 6 months building a case on Fat Joe. That's how it goes. But allegedly, Fat Joe shouldn't approach stuff like that with violence. You gotta find another way, man. I don't know. Maybe pull a Diddy, pull up with the money counter, and you just pay the guy off or something. I don't know. Unless there's zero. If you feel there's zero truth to anything or whatever, then fuck it. Then you can't extort me. There's zero truth to what you're saying. I ain't going. But if you feel like there's any smoke around the fire that this guy's bringing your way after being around you for 13 years, yeah, you might have to cut him a check. You might have to cut the guy a check. It's obviously too late for that. Oh, man. Plaintiff Joseph Cartagena, known professionally as Fat Joe, is an individual and a citizen and resident. Defendants, this shit is a little, all right, jurisdiction venue. This court has subject matter jurisdiction because this matter conversely exceeds the sum value of $75,000. Okay, factual background. Cartagena is a world-renowned music. Okay, we know. You got any exhibits in here for me to look at? After years of working together, Dixon fabricated claims that Cartagena engaged in unspeakable acts. Okay. Dixon falsely accuses Cartagena of SA. In June 2010, this shit has been going on for a while. For his part, and Dixon never complained in Cartagena or upon information and belief to anyone about the supposedly horrific acts that he witnessed. You didn't start telling on him until the money dried up, huh? You pulling the Cassie. So that's the thing. It's like two things could be true. Like Diddy could have beat the shit out of you and did some shit, but you also could have went broke and then decided to sue him, right? Like two things could be true, you know? And I don't know how much, if I'm Joe's legal defense, I want to spend so much time defending the fact that all we're dealing here is with a disgruntled person. What we read in the other paperwork, you're going to have to defend the actual accusations. They got people, they put the feds allegedly in touch with the minors, the Jane Does, the Does. Right? Disgruntled, he possibly, multiple things could be true. He possibly is disgruntled. But is there any truth to the stuff that he's saying? He may have turned a blind eye to a bunch of bullshit. He may have gotten broke and said, okay, lawsuit time. But is there any truth to what he's saying? Multiple things could be true, people. Oh. The countdown is on. Tell that fat man to be smart. Yeah, he was threatened. I could believe that early on that he was threatening the shit out of Fat Joe. Dixon outrageously accuses Cartagena of SR, statutory R. Okay, there's exhibits in here, some text messages. Joey Cap doing his pedo dance. These are all the stuff he was posting on social media about Fat Joe. This is why Fat Joe started the lawsuit first. This is why he said, I'm suing him. This is why this guy was going on a tirade, posting this shit about, yo, you're a pedo, you was with minors, you was this, you was that. Once again, I've already had legal counsel in a different situation. It's just like, if you're going to speak on past situations or if you're going to post things, make sure you have the evidence to back it up. So when you see me posting stuff like this, and I wouldn't want to be at this level on the internet. Like if I'm accusing somebody of being a pedo, I'm not trying to do 20 posts on Instagram of like, see, this is when he's with little Lisa and she's 14. See, like as now I'm in a big messy situation. Like, I don't know if I ever want to be involved in something like that. But if you ever are, and if you're ever going to do that, you got to have some truth and you got to have some facts behind you. Or you should, right? Dixon falsely made hyenas post about Cartagena's wife. You really don't care that the safari grass back 3-inch pink slimy king jerk chicken spot. Yeah, he was going in on social media, this guy. This is him posting like little funny AI pictures of Joe while still claiming that he's a pedo and whatnot in some of the exhibits. I'm just saying, Joe, you came with 25 pages. They came with 157. I'm just saying. All right, we've exhausted the Fat Joe thing. I didn't know it was that much. I didn't know it was that deep. Whoa. It's 11 a.m., man. I'm tired of that. I got some other stuff. I'll save it for tomorrow. Close out stuff. I'll still do the music and the movie stuff. I'm tired, y'all. That shit exhausted me. I ain't gonna lie. I'm tired. 3 hours and I'm tired. I'm tired. Music wise. Speaking of Joe, real quick. Once again, still shout out to Joe, man. I ain't throwing him under the bus. The paperwork looked very scary. Nobody would have to fight that stuff, but there's a lot of stuff in there. Every man deserves his day in court. I ain't saying neither one of them is right or wrong right now. You know what I'm saying? Shout out to Joe. I've always been a supporter, man. I've always been a supporter. I got the All or Nothing album. I've been here. I've been here all the years. I've been here, Joe. Jealous ones still envy. I've been here. I've been here, Mr. Cartagena. I've been here. I was here. You know what I'm saying? Joe, I was here. I was here, man. And None of y'all got this. I was here. I was here. When was this? What year was this released? This was 1993. Could be people watching the stream that weren't even born yet. 1993. I was there, man. I was there. You know what I'm saying? You don't even got a mustache in this picture, do you? Yeah, like I was there, homie. You know what I'm saying? Also in music, with no disrespect, this is a semi where are they now? Because at a time they had some dope shit going on. Hellrell. We know ever since that restaurant situation that happened with him, and he had another situation that went viral, allegedly of stealing money from somebody that was trying to book him for like a feature, studio time, whatever. I'm still gonna say allegedly, but those situations that was happening with him online, you know, where it looked like one day ran down on him and just full out tried to jump on him in a restaurant. The other one where he got pressed in that studio, you know, I think those situations that was happening publicly with him killed that whole. He had to start the Styles P shit, like who's the hardest out, right? It was him and Styles P, and that like fucked up his image and his reputation. But this album is dope. You know what I'm saying? For the hell of it, Hellrell, Ruger Rell. Is he still doing music? I had the opportunity to book him or talk about booking him for battling. I went a different direction. Don't seem right. Nah, I don't think that's gonna work out. But shout out to Ruger Rell, man. You know, he had a phase there where people was definitely chimed in. Dirty, dope album. 3 don't know nothing about shit like this. Where are they, man? Where are they? DSGB, Pastor Troy put these people on right after Pastor Troy took off. He started talking about the Down South Georgia boys and all that. This ain't the only album that they were on. Lil Pete, I remember Lil Pete. Yeah, where are they now? You know, I haven't heard from these guys in way too long. Dead Prez. The song Hip Hop is gonna go down as one of the best hip hop beats of all time. Hip hop. Where are they though? And yeah. You know, I don't got the full version. Somebody passed this to me, so I ain't gonna put it on camera. But The Minstrel Show, Little Brother, classic album. I'm gonna give The Minstrel Show by Little Brother classic status. But where are they? Where are they? Chat, or if you're in the comments later on, let me know, where are these people? Is there music that I'm missing? I fuck with everybody musically that I just named, so I want to know where they at. Movie or TV wise, I'll let y'all know. I forgot to say this the other day. I saw Ballerina 2 weeks ago. The John Wick spinoff is dope. I think the last John Wick, what is that, part 4? I take part 4 as the best John Wick. Part 3, I think that's the one with Halle Berry. I think that's the weakest one. Part 1 and 2 are dope. I forget which one I like better, 1 or 2. But 4 is the best. 1 or 2 comes in there at pick your order. And 3 is the worst. That Halle Berry shared the door. I didn't like it. Ballerina is going to be better than either part 1 or part 2. I like it that much. The action of it is crazy. The way they brought John Wick in as like the ghost type of was sick. Right? The way they implemented him made him look legendary as he should within a spinoff. That was incredible. There's a scene where she's only using grenades, and it's incredible. It's incredible. There's another scene where I'll just say this: flamethrowers. Incredible action sequence. And then even when she's going to war with the whole town, incredible sequence. There are epic action sequences in Ballerina. And I think one of the fears that I had going in is John Wick or Keanu Reeves was so built for the John Wick series is because he trained in the real world for gun manipulation and gun management. So gun enthusiasts can watch John Wick and say he's good. It's the same thing for The Matrix. Like he trained Kung Fu and all that type of stuff. So physically, even though he's always been one of the worst at delivering lines, no, we're gonna do it. Like he's horrible with lines, but physicality, manipulation wise, he's great. You got to give it to Keanu Reeves. And now you put a woman there. I'm not trying to be sexist, but the physicality of a woman versus a man delivering some of these high power action sequences for a series like John Wick that is built for gun enthusiasts, as well as CQC, close quarter combat. I think some John Wick people were going in saying, don't have me this whole time watching the NBA and then you give me a layup line with the WNBA, right? But no, physically, she did her thing. The CQC scenes with her, she's a very athletic woman. The gun manipulating scenes with her, she's been trained. The action scenes with her, she's a 10 out of 10. All right? I'm looking forward to the next Ballerina. Real talk. If you haven't seen Ballerina, go. I think it's still in theaters. Go. And the last one I'll tell you is I started Squid Game season 3 last night. So season 1 Squid Games is the reason why I bought one of the bear bricks. Season 1 is dope. Conceptually, to get that when it started, I was just like, yo, this is crazy. Like the whole thing around the old man and everything. I was just like, yo, this is dope. Season 2 was a letdown. I wasn't really a big fan of season 2 Squid Games. And here we are now with season 3. I believe that this is the final one. So I watched episode 1 last night and I fell asleep. It was okay. We'll see. We'll see. So I'm going to finish off Squid Games. I'll let you know how that goes. I'm really counting down to Stranger Things, which is the final season. I'm really counting down to that because the last shit with Vecna and all that. So we'll stay in the loop. All right. Entertainment wise, that's all I got for y'all today. 3 hour and 15-minute stream on a Saturday morning. Oh my God. Thank you, chat, everybody that helped me get through this one. Thank you for all the supers. Thank you for all the engagement. Thank you for all the gifts on the channel. Shout out to Sean, our member, gifted 5 memberships, man. Shout out to Two Clean Johns, been a member for 12 months. What's this one? Tony Sunkiss is crazy. It's Tony Sun. Oh, my bad. I mixed the two. My bad. It's Tony Sunshine. Yeah, Tony Sunshine was the singer and Sunkiss was the rapper, right? But Sunshine and Howard Good, are good. Salute. All right. No, I appreciate that. Oh, that's the Danza Project. Shout out to the Danza Project in the building. Them's the homies, man. Very supportive of the battle rap culture. I mentioned that on the stream the other day. I'm very supportive of your podcast. You continue to grow and do your thing over there, man. And you're bringing some big guests through. So shout out to the Danza Project stopping through with a super. Is your Hispanic ass so tied in with the Terror Squad you couldn't let that slide that I fucked the name up? Yeah, I got my Spanish folks taking it personal if I make mistakes about TS. And you down there with them, ain't you? I see. Are you one of them? You mad at me? Miami shit. Yo, clip this part right here, Danza. Salute to y'all, man. I love y'all podcast, man. We're gonna stay tapped in. All right, shout out to Rabbit Hole Knowledge becoming a member. I thought you was a member. Maybe you caught one of the members that was. So shout out to you, homie. Ethan Johnson, 21-month member. ARP catching the worst body in battle rap history. Oh, you must have been putting this when I was talking about the island topic. But I appreciate you. 21 months, man. OG on the channel. And we did get this. All right, I'm caught up. So yes, thank you for the supers. Thank you for the engagement. Thank you for the chat being here for 3 hours plus. Danza says, hell no, but I know. Listen, Danza. We on live stream right now. I don't expect you to say yes. He's like, you gonna read the indictment there with Pistol Pete and all this shit going on and then say I'm one of them? Come on, ARP. I don't expect you to say yes right now on camera. Everybody's getting indicted these days behind bullshit. Nah, shout out to you, G. I appreciate you. All right, chat. I'm out of here, man. I will catch. No way I'm coming back later on this afternoon. I don't care what news breaks. I'm tired. Over 3 hours today. We are out. I'll see y'all in the morning, man. Bright and early. We'll take another walk. I got y'all. Enjoy y'all Saturday.
Don't confuse silence with work ethic. I'm a boss making decisions, my first fetish. The verse cherished is perfect. That's a reverse blemish. I dropped it, connected the block. Learn Tetris.
This is the Sorry True Podcast. Welcome to the house of and shout out to the members.
Without, I think still got a gun.